Welcome in to the CHGO Bears Emergency Podcast. Luke Getsy is out. Your offensive coordinator, Andrew Janocko. Your quarterback's coach is out. Yours truly, Mark Carman, is here. His truly, Gregory P. Allen Braggs, is here. Nicholas Moriano is here. Adam Hoge is actually working behind the scenes. We'll be popping on here in about 10 minutes, so I'm hoping that Hoge is doing exactly what I think he needs to be doing right now, but I'll keep those thoughts for a second. Gentlemen, we were waiting, and I'm going to be honest. I was on my dog walk today with good old Poppy the puppy, and as we were going along, the time's going here, I'm starting to think, whoa, maybe something big is actually brewing. Maybe what I thought at the time spot-on take yesterday about Jim Harbaugh might actually be incorrect, and my friend, coworker to my left, his dreams, maybe they had some level of validity. And then I got back, and the dog was muddy to the world. I put down my phone for 5 minutes, and then I come back, and here we are.
And all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, so, and listen, this is what I thought was going to be. This is the way it was trending. There was, minute-by-minute pieces on Kevin Warren. There were nonstop social media stuff with Matt Eberflus in the locker room, all sorts of stuff. There wasn't a day in the life of Luke Getsy going on. Bears social media wasn't highlighting him, and he just looked wobbly to me in his press conferences. And so here we are. That's my initial foray reaction. Where are you gentlemen sitting right now with the news of the day?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's completely fair that this is what you're saying. This was the expected move. But with their, methodical approach to this, they only built up the frenzy. They, and if they had announced this on Sunday, right after the game, then there wouldn't have been as much of a reaction. Bears fans would have gone, okay, yeah, this is what it was going to be. But because they wanted to take 3 days to do this, they wound the fan base up into a frenzy, and they can't, operate worried about what the media or fans are going to react to. I understand that. But at the same time, they do themselves no favors in this process, at least through the lens of how it's covered. And so there's a lot of negative reaction from Bears fans because they get their hopes up. Someone like me with a guy like Jim Harbaugh are looking for upgrades. Mike Vrabel, Bill Belichick. There's upgrades out there, at least the way Bears fans see it. But at the end of the day, I understand the move. And now you have to find the right offensive coordinator to match whatever quarterback you're going to take. But my biggest takeaway of it is you should have just fired him week 3. You should have fired him after the Chiefs game when you got throttled by 50 points and Taylor Swift is dancing on your grave and Justin Fields comes to the locker room 2 days after that game and says, coaching is the problem. There's too much information, too much data coming my way. I want to play my way. And had they done that, maybe, I'm not saying definitely, but maybe things would be a little different right now. Maybe they would have won 2 of those 3 games that they lost by the skin of their teeth. Maybe somebody else would have developed Justin further along. I'm not saying those things would have definitely happened, but at the end of the day, Luke Getsy is now fired, so what's the difference? You have to be bold as an organization. The Buffalo Bills, they've won 6 of their last 7 games because they fired Ken Dorsey, and now they're in the playoffs. And that's the kind of forward-thinking franchise that's trying to win. That's the difference. And you can make the argument Alan Williams at the time is gone, and so that's a tough spot to be. Well, this is a tough business, and sometimes you got to make tough decisions.
Well, that's an interesting part of this. Alan Williams is gone. David Walker, Alan Williams, defensive coordinator, gone. David Walker, running backs coach, gone. Andrew Janocko, quarterbacks coach, gone. Luke Getsy, offensive coordinator, gone.
Nick's still here. Has he
Matt? I know. Matt Eberflus is the head coach who was in charge of bringing all these guys in. Is still here. Nick, get in here. Sorry for me being whatever I was, and Greg with a lot of thoughts. We all have them. So where are you at on this? You were on the ground, obviously, by far the most of all of us here. Nick covering them every single day. I'm assuming you're not surprised, but what's your reaction?
No, yeah, this is out of the candidates that were going to be let go going into the 2024 season. This is the one that I thought would probably happen. I already had the article queued up last night for Luke Getsy to be fired. And you know what happened right when I was at the gym? I was actually talking to someone who listens to CHGO Bears. Shout out to you, Brian. I'm like, something's going to happen right when this workout starts, and bam, it happens. But, we already had it covered here at CHGO. But this is an interesting move because you fire Luke Getsy, Andrew Janocko, and also wide receivers coach Tyke Tolbert's a part of that as well. But now this becomes a very interesting situation that the Bears are in for a very important year 3 for Matt Eberflus, who will be coming back, according to Adam Schefter. Like, he needs to win this season, guys. And are you going to do that? Let's say it's with Justin Fields, who will now be under his, third different offensive staff here. And maybe that works out. But, that's not the situation you want to be in if you're a quarterback. Or now do you trust Eberflus to then be with a rookie quarterback and, if things don't go well in Chicago, Flus is out the door. And Caleb, let's say it's Caleb Williams, he's going through the cycle that Justin Fields had just gone through with a fluctuation of offensive coaches, coaching staffs, OCs, everything. So it's an interesting move, but I think firing Luke Getsy does open up the possibility that maybe Matt Eberflus wants to put all of his cards and chips with Justin Fields next season because he knows the guy. But obviously all the possibilities are on the table. But you just look at Luke Getsy's makeup and what he didn't do this season, you guys. In 10 games, that offense scored 20 or less points. In the last 3 road games, they did not score a single touchdown, you guys. And then you have what just happened in Green Bay, that last showing that you could have maybe skewed the Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus, but you go out there showing the same inconsistencies that were showing up all season. I still go back to the 2nd and 2 play where you have Velus Jones Jr., Colin Johnson, Trent Taylor, Robert Tonyan on what was going to be a quarterback run to the right. You lose yards. You end up having to punt on that drive late in the first quarter. So the writing was on the wall for Luke Getsy. He didn't do enough with what he had. And, when your passing offense finishes 27th in the league, and then the year prior in 2022 was last in the league, that's not the jump that shows that there's enough progress being made to where you should have a job going to a 3rd season.
Completely agree.
So the scariest thing, I think, at least for some Bears fans, and also the most exciting thing that you said for some Bears fans, the concern is that you're not marrying the quarterback with the head coach and aligning those two together. If you're drafting Caleb, you're again doing what they've done forever. You're giving Flus another year, and then if it doesn't work and they go 7-10 again, now you're doing it again. But maybe it means that, we're not doing that now. We're going to stay married to the Flus Fields combo, which I would assume all options are still on the table logically here. But it does feel at least a little bit like it's turning that way. Now, I believe we have somebody who has been on the phone and is now ready to join the show with some amazing news that he has acquired. I'm not exactly sure if that's fully true or not because I haven't spoken with him. But
well, why would you tease it then?
Because I'm hopeful. Because Bears fans need a boost right now.
We need something.
The news is out.
The fan base is not happy with the news, man. At least
I don't have better news for you.
Come on, Hoge. What are you doing?
Do something. Help us.
This is what the Bears do. We're here again. It's the endless circle. It's the endless circle.
Did you at any point in the last 24 hours start to get excited that the endless circle was not going to be the endless circle?
No.
You didn't.
Circles are always endless.
No.
Not 1 minute. Because I started the show and when I was walking today and I'm I'm taking Poppy. I'm like, maybe something is going on, or this is taking a little bit longer than normal.
If I hadn't covered what happened after the 2020 season, which was literally this.
Yeah. Okay.
With the exception of they didn't even change their offensive staff after that season, but at least they're doing that here. No, this is what they do.
Collaboration.
So, it's been very obvious. We've been talking about this for months, man. Ryan Poles loves Matt Eberflus. He's convinced this is the guy. This is the guy that's going to – he's got visions of Flus being carried off the field at the Superdome next year. And the Bears are back in New Orleans where they once won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
It was a nightmare.
Yep. That's I'm not going to ask a question right now to Nick because I don't know what's already been asked. So if you want to,
just his initial reaction, you can ask any question you want other than that. Or I can I can give my
my observation was, it's well documented that I've tried to fire Luke Getsy 4 times this season, but I just think now that we're at this point anyway, that they should have, hindsight is 2020, but they should have been bold and fired Luke Getsy week 3 after they got throttled by the Chiefs. After Chase Claypool had to be traded because he said in the locker room that the coaches weren't using him right. After Justin Fields, 2 days after the Chiefs game, said he didn't like the way he was being coached, too much data, too much information. And I'm not saying that would have changed their trajectory and they would have made the playoffs and Justin would be a totally different quarterback than he is now. But what's the difference? Because now he's fired anyway, and if you are keeping Justin Fields next year, now you're starting over. You had a guy that I've been pounding the table for 3 years, and Greg Roman. He's coaching a high school team right now. You couldn't have gone over there? You don't think Greg Roman is competent enough to walk in here and establish a system midseason that can be conducive to Justin Fields? Oh, it's too many moving parts. I'm sorry. I would have done it. There's other teams in the league that fire coordinators that have a higher threshold and a higher standard of their success. And in Chicago, we just wait around, dead man walking, and then after it's completely obvious, then we finally make the move after we've pulled out 12 teeth. And I just think that the Bears are always afraid to be bold. They're scared of their own shadow. And so now we start over now. So be it.
So how do you think the conversations went at Halas Hall when they all sat down? You met with everybody.
We did this yesterday.
Yeah, I understand. They met with everyone, and then they all got in a room, and Poles looked at Flus, and Flus looked at Poles, and they both smiled at each other, and then they said, we have a hard decision to make, and Flus said, I love Luke, but I'm down with whatever you want to do, and we didn't score enough points. If you really look at, Braggs, what you said as far as games that they should have won, it wasn't. I mean, and I get it, the defense is a lot better, but it wasn't offensively. They didn't. The
Browns game it was offensively, but you're correct. In the Lions and the Broncos game they played better offensively.
Yeah,
but ultimately, both the Lions and the Broncos games, while the defense gave up the leads, there was moments where the offense could have won the game. And they had situational moments where they didn't come through. The Browns game was an abysmal offensive performance.
It was, but they also did do enough to win. I don't think you could point to.
Defense did, yes.
It's hard to point to if they had made an offensive coordinator change after week 3.
Again, I'm not guaranteeing it. I'm just saying what's the difference now?
But your philosophy of getting it if this is not going to go the way, what's the best thing we can do moving forward? I hear you. It makes at least a relative amount of sense. It's very aggressive.
Well, I'm of the mindset be aggressive.
I got it, but in the middle of the season, bringing in a new OC is.
None of that matters anymore.
Yeah.
Nick, how do we fix this?
I mean, that's the question. But I think it all stems back to what are you doing at quarterback? Because if you're bringing in whatever OC, offensive coaching staff you're bringing in, I think there needs to be some type of clarity at what you want to do at quarterback. Because if you're sticking with Justin Fields, you want to bring in obviously a guy that I think is not a first-time play caller like they did in Luke Getsy. You saw how that all played out throughout the course of 2 seasons. But you need to get somebody that obviously has experience, someone who is, able to work with a bunch of different skill sets, someone who can maximize, I think, the skill sets of what's being asked of whatever quarterback is here on this roster in 2024. Because I think with Luke Getsy, we just saw so much inconsistency in terms of personnel, how they wanted to attack certain defenses. And obviously, it didn't equate to wins or overall offensive success. So I think for the Bears to find the answer, I think you just need to first know, what are you doing at the quarterback position? Because, like I was just telling the guys earlier, like, this is all setting up to what the Bears have always done. You keep one layover from one last regime, pair him up with a new quarterback, with an OC. If it doesn't work well for Eberflus, he gets out next season. Then you're just, again, repeating the cycle. Now Caleb's going through a new offensive coordinator, in his second season. So it's not the greatest situation to be in, to be completely honest. Unless, and again, this is still a big part. Like, if you do run it back with Fields and you're giving him another offensive coordinator, at least Flus knows him, but still, like, what are the chances of that actually working? And I was actually going to ask you guys, we've been talking about all the negatives to this. What are the benefits right now of keeping Eberflus and also firing your offensive coordinator? The thing, I mean, you look at the defense, and we talked about, and it's been well reported, the brotherhood and chemistry that this team has. So you're keeping some continuity, but you also, you just got rid of your offensive coordinator and your offensive coaching staff, Tyke Tober and Andrew Janocko. But what are your best benefits for what the Bears just did that would lead you to believe they're actually going in the right direction in 2024?
We'll all walk off the set.
It's tough.
Well, I'm trying to picture this right now as I'm interviewing for, not me obviously specifically, but if I'm somebody who's interviewing for this OC job right now, and I'm looking at this Bears situation, I can be, and it's probably both. I can be very excited about the situation the team is in, where you're either going to stick with Justin and be able to give him the resources around him, and the pieces. Let's just say I like Justin, and I'm like, okay, we can trade this first round pick. We can get help on the offensive line. We can add Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm feeling pretty good about what I can do with this offense. However, if I'm a candidate who has looked at the tape and has watched Justin Fields, and I'm like, you know what, my system, this timing isn't going to work. He doesn't get rid of the ball fast enough. He's too methodical, and after 3 years, I do not believe I can coach that out of him. Well, then we need to go get Caleb Williams. Well, now, I love Caleb Williams, but how many games am I winning with a rookie quarterback next year? I mean, this is the same thing all over again. And are they going to be patient if we only win 8 games next year with the rookie quarterback? And if they're not, because there's a possibility that that's not good enough, do I have a job in a year? And this is why I think that on the surface you could say this job could be very easy to fill because of this, possible excitement, the number one pick, and be able to handpick your own quarterback that you start with. But that doesn't mean you have job security past one season. And unfortunately, this is just another time the Bears have created this situation.
Bingo. Because now you've somewhat sped up this process on what you're doing at quarterback. Because how are you supposed to hire an offensive coordinator and they're walking in and you haven't made your decision on the quarterback? You said earlier, well, logically, they haven't. They're going to go through the process, and they're going to go to the combine, and they're going to talk to these guys. Well, they got to hire an offensive coordinator right now, and they don't know who their quarterback is right now. So how do you do that? You're interviewing them and asking what they would do with both? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So now you've got to kind of make that decision one way or the other. And if you're keeping Fields and you're hiring an offensive coordinator through that lens, now Matt Eberflus is on the hot seat because they have to pick this offensive coordinator right, and they have to completely unlock Justin Fields into the stardom that we all thought he should be to right now. And if he's not, then Matt Eberflus and the head coach and the coaching staff is fired next year. If you are to get rid of Justin Fields and you're drafting a quarterback and you know this, you hire an OC, and I think that gives everyone a little longer leash as far as their job security, because like you said, a rookie quarterback is only going to have certain expectations for his first year.
So I've been thinking about one scenario for those who would like to move forward with Justin, which would be, I think, at least somewhat appealing on some level to everyone. Justin, I think, wants to stay here. At least that's what he said. Justin should have some level of concern if he doesn't stay here, what opportunity he's going to get elsewhere. Justin has not proven yet that he is a quarterback that you win because of him. I think you can look at him and say logically, I can win with him. I can if we build up around him, I think this is a guy we can win with. You can't say that he's a guy that you win because we didn't win enough the last 3 years, okay? So you factor all that in. All right, I'm Ryan Poles. I got the number 1 pick. Justin, I am offering you a 4-year extension right now at somewhere around 20 to 25 a year. So I know that I will have the flexibility to be able to add around him. He gets the security that he doesn't have to go anywhere. He gets close to $1 million, where he's richer than money than he'll ever need, and you are fully committing to it. Which this is a half commitment now because you're sticking with the head coach, and you can't do that right now. You haven't done all your evaluation, but it's just something, just playing it out down the line of how this could go. That's one way in which I think this would be exciting to.
I don't mean to be rude. No fucking chance I'm giving that guy a 4-year extension right now.
For $20 million a year?
No chance, dude.
Okay.
He has not proven that. And you don't need to do it.
He hasn't beaten
He's $6 million next year.
Dude.
That's insane.
2-10 against the division.
Okay, so
that's insane. Even if you want to keep Justin, that's insane.
Okay, so
you don't need to do that.
But
right.
you're trying. I'm looking to get some level of alignment of what you're doing.
There's no alignment.
Right.
That
if
sucks.
they keep Justin,
that sucks.
All due respect to everybody, everywhere. No one should be surprised that they're here. They did everything backwards again.
Right,
They're backwards Bears, man.
But
this is what they do. Quarterback, GM, head coach, CEO. Now start the stat. We have you know what, Lawrence? Let's bring up that graphic I asked for. I mean, look at this. This is insane when you put this out there. Eberflus has been here for not even 2 years. These are all the assistants that have already been let go since he took this job. His defensive coordinator's gone. His offensive coordinator's gone. His quarterback coach is gone. The significance of those two things, Getsy and Janocko, this whole thing was about Justin Fields. Fired, gone. Wide receiver coach, gone. Running back coach, gone. Other running back coach, gone. Assistant tight end coach, gone. I mean, that you can't have that after 2 years, and then they're going to get to the podium today and continuity, collaboration. This is all about keeping everything together. You can't make that argument when all those assistants are gone already. And who hired all those coaches? There's no way. I can guarantee 2 things right now about whatever press conference happens whenever it happens. I don't think we have word yet. One is it will not be as bad as the one that Ted Phillips and George McCaskey gave over Zoom after the 2020 season, and only because it's not humanly possible to have a worse press conference than that. Although I've been surprised before, but Ted Phillips won't be a part of it, so it should be better. That being said...
Did we get the quarterback right? No. Did we win enough games? No. Everything else we're doing good.
Yep, everything else is there.
Everything else is fine.
Now, but that being said... There's no way they're going to win this press conference. There's no way that they're going to be able to sell this fan base that everything's going to be just fine, that they're going to get the quarterback right.
No, you got to trust us.
Yes, again.
Just like Collaboration Day.
And it's just, it's Collaboration Day.
So
sounds like a good movie.
So there is...
It's not.
That should be
It's a horror film.
That'll be the
It's a horror film.
the docudrama on the Chicago Bears in the George McCaskey era.
It's more terrifying than Saw.
It's a rare time where I'm like the optimistic guy.
All right, can we ask Nick a question so he doesn't seem like he's AJ Hawk just sitting there?
I was just thinking the same thing.
I mean, it's just like
what is on the show? We're all in this together. But
he's not. We got to spring him to do other work.
Okay, he's leaving.
He's a guest on the show right now.
Nick, okay. When are we going to hear from Kevin Warren, Nick? Let me ask you that. Because that is what's different about this time period, and that is what I'm sort of leaning on at some level of hope here. So when are we hearing from Kevin, in your opinion?
I mean, that's a good question, Mark. But he was supposed to be the difference maker, but still the Bears are doing everything the same way they have been, right? So that's what I think the most discouraging part about all of this right now. And like we just showed the graphic of all the offensive coaches that are no longer a part of the Bears. Those are Matt Eberflus, like 1A guys. Those are the guys he wanted to bring in here. They're all gone. So when you're assembling a different offensive coaching staff, like it's just going to be intriguing how they're going to go about that. But again, if they're going with the mindset that you're going to have a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams, that is intriguing. But yeah, Kevin Warren was, I think, supposed to be the difference maker here, and yet the Bears are still in the Bears' ways of still doing things. Just the way they always have been doing things. And now they're in this situation again where, I don't know, if I'm an OC right now, as intriguing as this job is to potentially work with Fields or work with a guy like Caleb Williams, the idea of not having security beyond the 2024 season, I think would scare me. Just being that you're going to have to go through this whole entire process again and go through and look to potentially find a new job if it doesn't work out. If you don't have that offense humming from the beginning of the season all the way to the end with, a guy that is still going into year 4 with Fields, still needs to show some things, or just with a rookie quarterback that you just don't know is going to, click initially, regardless of the talent that he has coming into the league. So It's, again, intriguing spot for potential offensive coordinators, but I think also just terrifying in itself.
Exactly. Think about the expectations we all had coming into this season as Bears fans.
Exactly.
The expectations are going to be even higher. You keep Fields and you draft Marvin Harrison Jr. Nobody's going to be like, well, we'll give you 6 games to get going and build that chemistry and understand the offense. No, we're not rational people.
Where's Nick going? Is he just going to lurk outside Halas Hall and hope there's going to be a press conference? When is this press conference?
Stuff to write.
It's true.
I thought he already wrote it. He's got a shell.
Oh, my God. All right. Kevin Clark, I wanted to share this tweet from my buddy Kevin Clark because it's a good point. He says, I'm seriously racking my brain for this. Who was the last NFL coach who barely survived firing, then recovered to have a nice run with that same team?
That's a great question.
Bill Walsh wanted to quit in year 2, but that's different. Would love to find a counterexample, but it basically always ends badly.
I thought we were going to go to Bill Belichick or something. Nope.
Someone in the comments said Bill Parcells with the Giants.
That's the thing. There's not a lot of people, so it's not going to likely end. Why is it going to end right for the Chicago Bears? Out of all the teams that it can end right for, why is it going to end right for the Bears?
This is okay. Steve Kornacki in the replies said Dick Vermeil after the 98 season with the Rams. Kevin said this is a good one. That's the exact scenario that was brought up on the broadcast by Kevin Warren to Tracy Wolfson the other day. Once again, though, Dick Vermeil was an established head coach who had already been with the Eagles and had success in his career. So, look, it's possible, but it's also a completely fair point that it would completely buck the norm for there to be, an enormous recovery here. Although that being said, year 2 was better than year 1. So it's not like they've taken a step back here and there's, there needs to be a complete recovery. It's just, once again, trying to convince a city that has seen this play out so many times. How are you going to convince the right offensive coordinator to come here, to not think he's coaching for a lame? And maybe, you know what? Maybe that's it. Maybe there's a contract extension for Matt Eberflus that's announced. Wouldn't completely shock me. They did this with Ryan Pace when they fired John Fox.
Yeah.
Ryan Pace was given a contract extension, and the whole thinking behind it was we need whoever we're hiring as head coach to know that the GM's not going anywhere for his own job security, to attract better candidates. And that might have to be, this might be a full double down on Matt Eberflus by this organization. And you know what? I hope it is, because they better be right. We're talking about in the same offseason, we might have one of the best head coaching pools available and quarterback options available in the draft with the number 1 pick. So if they're keeping Flus, they better be right. If they're keeping Justin Fields, they better be right. You know what I mean? And so I hope they're so convinced that Flus is the guy that they're giving him a contract extension, because, actions speak louder than words. You know what also speaks pretty loud? That it's Wednesday at 10:41 and we still don't have an official announcement on who the head coach is next year. You know what I mean? Like, then why did you need all this deliberation? Last year, you announced Flus's press conference before they played the Week 18 game. Mm-hmm. So, obviously, they've been having tough discussions here. So, to turn around and then give him an extension is a tough sell. This is the problem the Bears have gotten themselves in here, and they've been here so many times before, is it's like no matter what angle, whatever benefit of the doubt you try to give them, there's another counterpoint that strongly suggests otherwise.
That's what I was down the lower road of. What have these conversations been? Did they really just look in there and that's why optimism was building. Something's got to be going on. This is taking way too long. There's these amazing people out there. Greg Braggs is staying up till 4 a.m. drinking cherry Pepsi, dreaming about Jim
Cherry
Harbaugh.
Pepsi
Zero with every horrible product possible that's shortening his life to hope and pray that something's going to happen. And then I'm actually starting to wonder, would it have been worse as we talk through this and just seeing the reaction and the feeling in the moment? Would it have been worse if they had just said that Luke's back? If they said we are sticking with the same plan, we are doing it that way, which would feel worse right now? Because this does not feel right. This feels so incredibly in the middle of a fence up your butt. On
the heels of me staying up last night watching the offensive film from Sunday, I think that would have been worse. We're asking Trent Taylor to be the key blocker on way too many plays.
How did that happen?
On that film.
That was amazing.
What in the Colin Johnson and Trent Taylor out there trying to secure the edge. What? Okay. Nick, any final thoughts before we spring you here?
No, guys, it's going to be fascinating what is actually going to be said whenever this press conference eventually happens, you guys. But I'm sure a lot of questions will come up about the quarterback and why Flus is still why polls in this organization believe Flus is the guy moving forward. But if there's any news, we'll have you covered here at CHGO. I'll be at Halas Hall whenever the press conferences have been, but it's gonna be fun, you guys. Well, let's try to be optimistic because we have probably a long off season awaiting for us.
All right. There he is, Nicholas Moriano. All his coverage and his story on this at allchgo.com. And you should be following him on Twitter at Nicholas Moriano for all the latest news as well. We'll reset here. And I want to make sure everyone knows, as we've been vowing to you all week, obviously, we are the home here for all this off-season coverage. And as you're seeing today, we've started the show about 2 hours early. We're usually here at noon every single day, Monday through Friday, and we'll continue to be. But when news breaks, we are going to jump in and get you covered here. And if necessary, if there's a press conference later, we'll probably be back to recap that press conference as well. So we're always flexible here at CHGO. That's part of our business model, and we hope that you will hit that subscribe button if you are not already subscribed. Maybe you're catching us for the first time here because of the news. Please hit that subscribe button. I think I already saw we were really close to getting over 46,000. Sunday we went over 45,000. Last night I saw we were already almost to 46,000. So let's get that done right now. Also, if you're longtime viewer or listener of the show, please send the link off to a Bears fan right now. Let them know that we are live, we are covering this, and ask them to join us and hit that like button as well, because throughout this offseason, whatever's happening with this coaching staff, whoever they hire, whatever happens with Justin Fields, whatever trades are made, we are going to jump in here and always break it down for you right here on the CHGO Bears Podcast.
That's right. And
So, go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say, we're building this house like we've always said, building the house brick by brick. But another part of the house is you need good flooring. At Empire Today, with Empire Today, you get a shop-at-home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low-price guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring, so of course they have copycats, but Empire can't be beaten on quality, service, speed, so competitors advertise low-quality products that Empire simply won't carry. Empire won't promise the lowest prices because anyone who does that is putting flooring in your home that they would not put in theirs. They keep shopping for floors simple with a curated product selection. Empire's philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with 1,000 different choices and substitutes. What they leave out of their selection is as important as what they put in. Empire's product team exhaustively combs through thousands of product samples each year to find the perfect styles. They have a sweet virtual floor designer so you can see for yourself how the floor will look in your home. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use the promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details.
Upgrade your health, upgrade your workout regimen, upgrade your just enjoyment of life, period. Become a member at Midtown Athletic Club. Wherever you are, they've got a location for you around the Chicagoland, Palatine in the northwest burbs, Bannockburn on the North Shore, where you'll see Adam Hoge and yours truly a ton, Willowbrook in the southwest suburbs, and Midtown Athletic Club and Hotel in the middle of Bucktown and Lincoln Park, where you can find remnants of Greg Braggs when he slept in the hotel with his lovely wife, Jenny, and they never allowed him back in there for whatever reason. You can talk about that on a day that Luke Getsy didn't get fired. Look, Midtown Chicago, by the way, is the nicest fitness club you'll ever be in. So if you're looking for the high quality, I mean, you're going to get that in any of them. But Midtown Chicago is just completely and utterly insane. Palatine is, they got a multi-million-dollar renovation going on there. And as far as the things that you can do, group exercise, cross-training, spin, boxing, yoga, high-intensity interval training, amazing pools, indoor and outdoor, the locker room, the steam, the sauna. I mean, amazing experience anywhere you are in the Midtown facility. Go over to midtown.com/CHGO, midtown.com/CHGO. Find out more and tour the Midtown Athletic Club nearest you. I'd like to thank Coach Sam over at Midtown for giving me the motivation and the love and the extension on the forehand that allowed me to take out good old Rich last night in 3 sets, 10-7 in the third. Way to go, Carm. 3-1 on the new season. Thank you to Midtown Athletic Club.
I would expect, based on some little bit of word, I do expect us to get some type of press conference today. So Bears fans no official announcement at this point, but I do think you're going to hear some explanations coming out of Halas Hall before the end of today. And, of course, whenever that happens, we'll have Nick there, and depending on the timing, maybe more of us there, and whatever happens, we will react to as well here on CHGO. The more and more I think about this, is just whether there's a contract extension or not, there needs to be the support or the convincing that Flus is not going to be fired a year from now. I can promise you I will lose my mind if that happens, because if they draft a quarterback and then they end up firing the head coach again 1 year into that rookie quarterback's career, I'm gonna lose my mind. I don't know how many times you can do that and have any credibility as an organization ever again. So by making this decision to keep Flus now, it has to be a decision to keep Flus for more than 1 year. Like, it just has to be. And that has to be the message conveyed to the fan base. It most importantly needs to be the message conveyed to any offensive coordinator candidate that is out there, because you can't screw this up again. You cannot. Let's remember that Luke Getsy was a big reason why Ryan Poles was sold on Matt Eberflus. Because Flus came in, I had lined up his staff, as most of these head coaches do ahead of time, and he had lined up Getsy. And they were getting the guy that had worked with Aaron Rodgers, division rival, that knew the division, that had the right scheme for Justin Fields, and it was lauded everywhere as a great hire. And it didn't work. And so, right there, by keeping Flus, you're giving him another chance. Who's your guy now? Who's going to be the big hire? And you cannot get this wrong again. And the not knowing who the quarterback thing is, and maybe they do. I hope that's a huge amount of the discussion that's been taking place at Halas the last 48 hours, is what the plan is at quarterback. Because hiring an OC without knowing what that plan is a tough sell. Even if it's just you're leaning hard one way or the other right now and open to other possibilities. But you have to know that whoever you're hiring is either in on Justin or out on Justin, is either in on Caleb Williams, is either out on Caleb Williams. Because you can't have a coaching staff doesn't know who they're drafting until Mitch Trubisky's drafted situation again.
So, okay, let's talk about that. The Bears, there's going to be a lot of discussion between now and the draft. I'll go on the Carman limb right now and just tell you right now, on January the 10th, whatever it is, and I could have said it 3 months ago, not 3 months ago, but a little while ago, the Bears are going to draft Caleb Williams, dude. They absolutely are going to take the big swing and go after the hopeful generational quarterback. They're going to do it. There's no way alongside this move that you could say, come on in here and rescue us with Justin. That makes no sense. They are going to draft this dude, and they're going to think it's a long-term play, and they're going to go out there to Darrell Bevel or whoever and say, dude, you're going to come in here. We are committed to a guy who's your head coach is a you know exactly who's going to get every single day. He's got the locker room in a great place. You are going to have some level of, having to navigate there. Justin was very popular here, but we are giving you the top guy in the draft. You are married to him, and by the way, we're going to pay you a bunch of money to take on that job. That's how this possibly makes a drop of sensei. They set themselves up. They made the greatest trade of all time. They got the top pick in the draft. They are not going to stick with Justin 3 years in. However, what they did him wrong, but they're not going to do it with a guy who hasn't passed for 3,000 yards. They're not doing it. So that's how this is going to go.
And it makes the most logical sense. Because, as I said before, if you're keeping Justin, then everybody's on the hot seat next year. Justin, Matt Eberflus, the whole coaching staff. They have to be good next year. So that makes the most logical sense. You draft Caleb Williams, you tie the OC to the quarterback. The defense is making improvements. You're going to add to that. So they're going to just continue to get better. Jalen Johnson says he expects to sign a contract here soon. That makes the most sense. I guess the only other question is Ryan Poles comes from Kansas City, where they won 12 games with Alex Smith. We're in the AFC Championship and drafted Patrick Mahomes and had him sit for a year. Are they crazy enough? Because I think it is a risky proposition in this locker room. But is Ryan Poles thinking, I'm going to keep Justin for a year and draft a rookie quarterback and let him sit for a year like Patrick Mahomes once did? I think no is the answer, but I'm not leaving it off the table.
Throw a 1%er in there, sure.
I don't hate it, and I'm on record as saying that. You have to get this right. So what's the risk of that? Well,
The locker room.
how?
Because if you look at the Eagles, who did that with Carson Wentz, and Jalen Hurts,
Yeah.
that's what they tried.
Yeah. It worked
We're
out
gonna
pretty well, didn't it?
Well, it did, but not for Carson Wentz. And
But who cares? You solved your quarterback.
They didn't.
That's the point.
Right, but if you go rewind it for the Eagles now, they don't care. They're living.
But that's
good.
what I mean. You want to be
Right,
You
but
wanna
in the moment, they tried to make it work, and for 4 games into the season, Carson Wentz couldn't handle it.
Right.
And then in came Jalen Hurts.
well, but that
And they
doesn't
went
mean
to the Super Bowl.
That doesn't mean that Justin. Yeah,
get it.
And that doesn't mean Justin Fields can't handle it. I mean, Justin Fields has a different makeup than Carson Wentz.
So that's the other risk.
And you either but it helps you get to your answer, because either that's going to motivate the hell out of Justin Fields and he's going to do everything he can and have success and
Right.
keep his job, or it's not going to work out. And now the second part of that is the guy that comes in and takes over better play well. In the Eagles' case, it worked out with Jalen Hurts. Doesn't mean it's a guarantee. So that would be the risk. The risk would be you destroy Justin Fields. You still got the pick wrong, and now you still don't have a
So
quarterback.
you don't think there's any risk to a divided locker room? Because, I mean, I rewind back to the Rex versus Orton days. It wasn't just a fan and media thing. The locker room was split on who the quarterback should be. And so
That team also went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. No, hey, I'm not as worried about people's feelings, but, I mean, Ryan Poles has to worry about how the locker room's feelings are. Those are his players. So these guys are hard line for Justin. This new kid comes in.
I mean, Flus has a nickname for all of them. The locker room's great. He'll take care of it.
Okay, but here let's just play out the scenario of drafting a quarterback and playing him behind Justin. Like, okay, what happens if you can move from 1 to 2?
Real quick before we get into hypothetical situations. If you're worried about a divided locker room, you shouldn't have kept Matt Eberflus.
Agreed.
Yep.
These are, I hope, what we're talking about right now is the same discussions that they had at Halas over the last 48 hours. And if their conclusion was, we're not worried about a divided locker room because of the culture we've built here, and all these guys are professionals, and they're going to be able to handle a rookie coming in, and if they're worried about that, then they should have started over with an offensive head coach, gone down the Caleb Williams road, and just rebooted.
And not only that, if the players can't be professional enough to make it work, then they're not the right players.
I agree.
So, I get it. But
And I got news for you, too. That locker room's already divided. Now, I don't say that having any information that anyone's told me that they don't like Justin Fields. I just know that from covering the league. There's too many players in that locker room. You're telling me there's not one player in that locker room who doesn't have some doubts about Justin Fields? Of course there are. Of course there are. Now, they're all saying the right things, and I think overwhelmingly there's support for Justin Fields. But you can't tell me that there's not at least one, let's say, offensive lineman who's a little annoyed that sometimes he gets credited with giving up a sack when really the quarterback ran into the sack.
You can't tell me that his best friend, Darnell Mooney's probably not annoyed with him on some level. He's probably holding that somewhere deep in the Darnell Mooney. How come I got more catches this year with Tyson Bagent than I ever got with you? I've traveled the country with you throwing me the ball. You can't find me in a game?
Players are smart enough to know when a change needs to be made. Now, they might not see that now, but they also weren't sitting there watching Caleb Williams tape all season. And this is another thing I want to say, too. If the Bears end up going down the Caleb Williams road, I'm not saying it'll ever be unanimous. There will always be fans, if they move on from Justin Fields, that are upset about it. But between now and the draft, a lot of those same fans will come around, and they will support the decision, and they will even buy number 13 jerseys when the pick is made. And all of them who are skeptical will certainly come around if he's the rookie of the year next year, if he has the season that C.J. Stroud did. So that's the type of thing where it's like, yes, we've had a lot of discussion about what the locker room feels about Justin and what the fan base feels about Justin. In the end, that won't matter if the quarterback they draft is good.
you can't worry about what the fans or media say, or you'll end up sitting with them, is the saying goes for a GM or coach or a player.
And nobody wants to be sitting next to Greg Bragg.
Yeah, look at you
Especially
two.
this
See,
guy.
look at the mistakes you've made in your life. Now, but just like this, where they drew this out for a few days instead of just announcing it right away. Okay, do your methodical approach, but you're creating a groundswell of emotion that you could have avoided. Same thing goes into the quarterback situation. The longer you drag that out, you say they're going to cheer Caleb Williams when they make that pick, April 25th, the night of the first round of the draft. But if they wait all the way until that night to make a decision at quarterback, they will boo. They will boo the pick.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, so like if they're smart and like make your decision at the combine, make it early enough to where fans can come to grips with what's going to happen. And then I think there will be a more positive support, but the longer you push it, the more you're going to give hope to one side or the other of people clinging to what they think is the best direction for the Chicago Bears.
If the Bears manage to get a first-round pick for Justin Fields, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but let's say hypothetically they squeeze that out of a team that got desperate enough. What do you think the reaction would be to the trade, even in the moment? What would be the approval rating for the trade?
If they got what?
A first-round pick.
Yeah, everyone. I think obviously the people that want to move on are going to be happy, but the people that are hardline for Fields will accept it because they'll view that as good value. And I mean, Bears fans are always going to eventually go to their coping mechanisms, including with what's happening today. Like, everybody's got fiery opinions, but eventually we'll all get behind Flus and the same thing. So, you know, if they make that trade, there'll be some reaction initially, and then everyone will rationalize it by saying, oh, this is really good value. Now we have 3 first-round picks this year. Let's ride.
Let's ride. Interesting. Someone just sent a super chat about Russ.
Let's ride.
Cass, $5. How about trading Justin, signing Russ after he gets cut, draft Caleb, and let him sit?
I also don't think, I mean, Russ is the extreme veteran example of that, but I don't think that that's off the table either. Them moving on from Justin, drafting a veteran, or not, signing a veteran quarterback, and then drafting Caleb and making their decision later if they're going to start him right away.
Also, guys, I've watched a lot of Caleb Williams tape. I don't think Caleb Williams is a quarterback that needs to sit for a year. There were arguments for that with Justin, and I think in hindsight he probably should have sat longer than he did. But Caleb Williams is already polished enough that you don't sit him. If you go down that road, you play him. Well, and you play him like C.J. Stroud played this year, like Bryce Young, and especially, and this is important. Like, the argument I think for sitting Bryce Young this year would have been there's not enough help around him. You're not putting him in a position to succeed. If we're talking about, again, hypothetically, you can maybe get a late first-round pick, maybe an early second-round pick for Justin Fields. You're talking about not only drafting Caleb Williams, but also giving him another first-round talent in the top 10, perhaps even more if you end up moving back with that you could trade back with that second first-round pick. Maybe having another late first-rounder from the Fields trade or an early second-rounder, plus everything you've been building here already. He's got DJ Moore, whereas Bryce Young had DJ Moore ripped away from him. Right. As they made that trade. Right. He's got DJ Moore. You got the opportunity to – you've got plenty of cap space, which you know Ryan Poles is going to use on this offense to get more help over there. I would imagine that there is some type of big acquisition this offseason that is the equivalent of DJ Moore. And I don't mean Marvin Harrison Jr. That could happen too, but I'm saying veteran. A real-ass player that you already know who that player is, what he can do, what he's capable of. So the overall point I'm trying to make with that, if you go down the rookie route, which is very much a possibility at this point, whether it's Caleb Williams or somebody else, this is not Bryce Young walking onto the field with that crappy Panthers team, okay? This is not Justin Fields walking onto the field with the support that he had as a rookie. It's certainly not the shitty situation Mitch Trubisky was in when he was a rookie, throwing to guys like Trey McBride and Kendall Wright and all that crap. Okay? This is a much better situation, and oh, by the way, Caleb Williams is way more polished than those other guys were coming out.
Real quick, but the one with Mitch and Justin, they are walking into a coach. The coaching situation is somewhat similar.
Yes, although... Like, at least the offensive coordinator is coming in new. In both of those situations, It was the same offensive
That's true.
coordinator.
It's a good point.
And so at least you are willing or able, I should say, to go into these interviews. Hey, maybe some of these candidates will have a relationship with Caleb Williams. You know, depending on who you're interviewing. Maybe it's a college coach that recruited them.
Well, right, and that's where you hope that they have played this out in their mind down the road, just sort of not exactly the same thing, but like when they made the trade for Montez Sweat. You can't do that. You might not sign him. We're signing Montez Sweat. Don't worry about it. It's going to be done in 3 seconds. And then it was. It was done in 3 seconds, and it looks great. We're drafting Caleb, and we know who we're going to pair with him. I mean, maybe they are actually that far down the road that they're going to play their cards close to the vest. Look, if the Bears have a top 10 pick, when's the last time they used a top 10 pick on a wide receiver and now it hasn't worked out? But you're talking about like Kevin White, you're talking about David Terrell. That's a huge asset if you want to add not the number 1 wide receiver in the draft, but the number 2. And I haven't done my deep dive on who I want them to take there, but that is an enormous asset. So and you've got a ton of money. To everything that Hoge just lined up, and which I'm double downing on, this offense should, in theory, be able to hit the ground running next year.
So, and then back to the point of where you said, Caleb, if that is the route they go, he should have the ability to play right away. The reason people compare the Mahomes situation is Poles comes from Kansas City, but I think, would you agree that Mahomes could have started his rookie year as well if that was what the circumstances had called for it?
I think Mahomes was going to be Mahomes regardless. I think if Mahomes had played, he would have been fine. That's not to say sitting didn't help him. It definitely did. And also, I don't know if he would have a couple Super Bowls, but I still think he would have been good if he had come to the Bears. Like, good. When you're that good, you're good. Okay. But also what I'm struggling to accept this Alex Smith type situation because Alex Smith was in a way different spot in his career. He was already with his second team. He was an established veteran.
Been in that system for 3-4 years.
He had played in playoff games.
Yep.
In terms of a mentorship, that was a way easier situation for even Alex Smith and his makeup and his career to be like, okay, I understand why they made this move for this young rookie quarterback, and I'm going to do everything I can in my power to play this out and mentor him. You're not asking Justin Fields to mentor Caleb Williams.
No, exactly.
If you keep both, you're asking them to compete.
Yeah. So that's the Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts situation more comparatively to because like you said, Mahomes.
But even that one's not apples to apples because that was a second-round pick that, like, Hurts basically fell to them. This is the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yes.
You don't draft this type of talent. And
Fields is starting with a new offensive coordinator too. Like Alex Smith was already under Andy Reid, coming off an AFC Championship and 12 wins. He's holding the spot for Mahomes here. They're both getting a new offensive coordinator in that theoretical.
The only way that you're having any level of quarterback competition is if you end up trading back. If you go 1 to 2, get a first round pick next year, you draft Marvin Harrison second, and you just go off the board bold either in the later rounds or all the way up to 9. I'm taking Michael Penix Jr. number 9. And we're gonna let him
JJ McCarthy,
or McCarthy, whoever. That's the only.
I hate it.
And I don't think that's I don't see that happening. I really don't.
If you feel like you need to draft a quarterback, that means you do not fully believe in Justin Fields. So if you do not fully believe in Justin Fields, you should not be passing on Caleb Williams.
Correct.
It's idiotic.
Which is why they're going to.
It should be that simple.
So okay.
You don't hedge. Don't hedge.
Right.
If you have any doubt about your quarterback right now, it's the same thing I'm saying with this Flus thing.
Exactly.
Okay. If you're keeping Flus, you're keeping Flus. You believe in him. You should extend him. You should tell the fan base, we're all in on this. You should tell the offensive coordinator candidates, we're all in on this. You don't hedge. The same thing with the quarterback. You're either in on Justin Fields or you're not, in my opinion. And if you're not, you're never going to get better value for him than right now. You trade him and you draft this. I'm not using that word. I'm refusing to. This very good quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks that's come out, talents that's come out, prospect in forever, that fell in your lap. With some shrewd trading, yes, but you still lucked out to end up here in this situation. 100%. It's a great situation to be in. You don't pass on it if there's any doubt. The only situation that you pass on this is if you are 100% sold that Justin Fields is your guy.
Okay,
so in that case, is only picking up his 5th-year option hedging, or in the same case, like you said with Flus, if you believe in Justin, then you're giving him the Daniel Jones 4-year deal right now.
I hope that if you're keeping Justin, you feel that way.
Right.
I don't agree that you need to do that right now.
Just like Flus, like you're saying you said fuck no. They're not giving Eberflus a 4-year deal.
The difference with extending Flus though is you need to convince candidates that, that he's not going anywhere for job security. You don't have to do that with Justin to convince anybody about job security. To me, that's being a little bit reckless with the decision that doesn't need to be made yet.
My scenario on the 4-year extension with Justin I'm trying to get him on a deal at 20 to 25. It's because you do believe in him, and you could make that deal right now, and it does give you the flexibility to add on in ways that other teams wouldn't be able to do. But let's go down the road of you believe in Justin the way you believe in Matt Eberflus. How are you selling that to an OC? We believe in this guy. We absolutely think that we have done him wrong in the first 3 years. He had Matt Nagy, and now Matt made the wrong hire with an OC. We really believe that you can come in here and turn him around.
Yeah,
that is a hard.
I think that the pool of candidates for the OC job is much bigger if you're going with Caleb Williams than it is if you're going with Justin Fields. And part of that is just stylistically. And it's probably the same frustrations Luke Getsy had, trying to run his offense and just all these perimeter throws that are just not happening fast enough. And they're not accurate enough. And that's what Caleb Williams does super, super, super well. Like, it's probably at the top of the list of things he does well. And those timing aspects of an offense at the NFL level are so incredibly important that if you're all in on Justin right now, your pool of candidates that you need to bring in that you feel like are going to completely buy into what his strengths are. So designing an offense around that basically means we're not throwing a lot of anticipatory throws. Okay? We got to scheme guys wide open. And Justin's got to see them open and throw the ball. He's not going to throw them open. We already know that now after 3 years, okay?
And we're going to use his legs.
And we're going to have a huge quarterback run game. And we're going to somehow, within all that, do everything we possibly can to make sure he doesn't get killed while he's running. That's a tough ask. It's a lot tougher than the pool of candidates that are interested in the other scenario, which is get ball, throw ball. Get ball, throw ball. Have weapons that are open. Get the ball in those. With everything that the Bears have been talking about the last 2 years, that Flus talks about all the time, get the ball in the skills, hands. How many times has Flus said that? Which is another reason why I have questions, even with Flus taking over, that he's going to want to stick with Justin. Because the reality is Justin doesn't do that fast enough. And so I just think it's a tough ask.
So a name that comes to mind if they are going to go the Caleb route that makes some sense to me is Cliff Kingsbury, who's the quarterback coach in USC.
Cliffy.
Who has, an understanding of that system.
I totally forgot he joined that staff.
That USC runs, that Caleb
Left
Williams
Thailand.
is in, that Lincoln Riley runs. You see Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray guys coming from that system that are in the league.
Yeah. I don't hate it. I don't think he was ready to be an NFL head coach.
No,
but
for offense.
Yeah, but for offensive coordinator, I mean, you could talk me into that. I've seen Liam Cohen's name a little bit. He was on Sean McVay's staff. He's currently the OC at Kentucky.
Well, there's always the Frank Reich name. Flus knows him well.
Yep.
They're buddies. I'm not saying it's exciting, but that's a guy, by the way.
That's hiring Chuck Pagano.
I think if you're keeping Justin Fields, Frank Reich makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think I can see Eberflus doing it either way because of their history, but I think it makes more sense, that kind of hiring, if you're keeping Justin.
Law, do you have that list of OC candidates?
Oh, yes, we do. Quick shout out to Alex, who brought up Liam Cohen with a super chat. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
Thanks for all the super chats. We'll keep them coming. Let's see here. We want OC
remember
candidates. This one?
Yeah. So we had this on our show the other day, too. So some names that have already been thrown out there and discussed. You have Greg Roman, of course. If you're going Justin Fields route, understand the Greg Roman idea. Of course, it didn't exactly end well with the Ravens, so I don't know. Clint Kubiak, basically anybody from that Kyle Shanahan tree. Again, though, I think Caleb Williams is a better fit for that. But Clint Kubiak, Brian Fleury, who's the tight ends coach, right, with the 49ers. Greg, you were the one that had Brian Fleury's name on there. That's why I was.
Yeah, the tight end coach from the 49ers.
Okay, Kellen Moore.
Apologize.
Kellen Moore with the Chargers, and then Gerard Johnson, who is C.J. Stroud's quarterbacks coach down there in Houston. The names I kind of like that I would want to target, if you're not hiring, first of all, would love a guy that has experience calling plays.
Well, Eric Bieniemy too.
Yeah.
Who has
just that scheme.
Just saying, he from Kansas City connection.
Yeah. Might work with Caleb.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Cliff Kingsbury, though, obviously experienced calling plays, so I can be talked into that. But I would look at possible, if you weren't hiring someone with a ton of play calling experience, which again I don't love, look at some OCs around the league right now that are under head coach play callers. So possibly, like, would Frank Smith, the Dolphins OC right now, be interested in what would maybe look like a lateral move to be OC in Chicago, but really wouldn't be because it would come with play calling? So it would actually be, a promotion in some ways, a better opportunity for him, potentially. And if a guy like that, and I'm just giving one example, is excited about either working with Justin or working with the number one pick, play calling, they might be able to get over the fear that in a year from now, the whole staff might be blown into Lake Michigan.
Hey, Daryl Bevel.
Stop talking about Daryl Bevel, man.
Why?
He said, how many opportunities?
The division, baby.
He blew the Super Bowl.
OC in Minnesota. He learned from it. OC in Minnesota, OC in Detroit.
He's the quarterback's coach under Frank Smith right now.
They're crushing down there.
He's interviewed for the Bears head coaching job like 6 different times.
Come back to this is the time.
But this is where, because you're saying,
and that's a Badger
guy.
It's a Badger I'm talking about. I'm good.
This is where you're saying
loyalty.
And this is where you're saying, like, okay, OCs that want to come in want to have assurances that this coaching staff will be here. At the same time, this is where I have to start my smear campaigns early on to keep, OCs from leaving. And this is why it's somewhat of a broken philosophy, and it's, a problem that's a good problem to have, because what I'm getting to is if you bring in an OC that unlocks Justin Fields to his fullest potential or develops Caleb Williams in his rookie year the way C.J. Stroud does, guess what happens when that year is over?
You tell me, Gregory.
He's no longer your OC. He's going to another team. And so that's why I've always, going back to the Eberflus hiring, I wanted an offensive coordinator or an offensive, coach to be the head coach.
Yeah.
Because we have this franchise quarterback in Justin Fields. Develop him, let it be your system, and do this for 5-10 years.
You know what? I totally understand what where you're coming from on that, and everyone who says that, it's great. That has happened once, and it was when Adam Gase got hired by the Dolphins, and they actually had some offensive success. So if the Bears actually get to that point, it would be good because it meant that they actually had some offensive success.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have. I mean, Bobby Slowick.
No, but my point is, stop worrying about things that are virtually unrealistic for the Bears. Because it's like they've tried the offensive head coach with Trestman and with Nagy, and it didn't work. And they've tried this approach, and everybody's worried, oh, when you go to this route, then you're going to lose your offensive coordinator. Not with the Bears. And if you do, then it's a good thing that it got to that point.
It was, and there was, I mean, Adam Gase unlocked Cutler. He was the only guy that could do it.
Right. Like if you told me right now, whoever they hire in the next week or so to be their OC gets a head coaching job next year, I'd sign up for it at this point.
Yeah, of course.
Because it means that they finally had a good year for a quarterback.
If it gets to that point, though, I'll do my best to do a smear campaign and
there you go.
Say how that person hates puppies and calls it the Willis Tower, and I'll try to make sure he doesn't get hired anywhere.
What you did with Luke Getsy, that was amazing. You really
kept him on for a year. My bad.
Good job.
I shouldn't have done the smear campaign.
He could have gotten elsewhere and launched his career instead of
gassed him up.
It is wild. This guy was coaching the Senior Bowl last year. He was the head coach in the Senior Bowl.
I don't think the NFL is not going to hire Luke Getsy again. Not instantly for an offensive coordinator. He'll be a QB
Aaron
coach.
Rodgers already hired him in New York.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That already happened.
Okay.
Not really.
Yeah, I understand. That guy said an interesting.
I will
week.
say this, like all this. I'm sorry.
We have $50 super chat.
Yes, sir.
So I want to get it in here. Isaac Siegel. Also, who are the free agent wide receivers and tight ends? No one is talking about them when surrounding fields or a rookie with weapons. Is that because there is none worth it? They were awful last year, but better this year. Also, love y'all. Have to get the likes up.
Appreciate you, Isaac.
Isaac,
you got an answer for Isaac? Because I don't.
I do not. I'm 48 hours, almost 72 hours removed from the end of the season and all the
one step at a time.
The coaches. So I have not had the free agent list of wide receivers and tight ends pulled up in my life.
Well, and
I did watch tape on Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams last night.
T. Higgins, Michael Pittman. Is Mike Evans really a free agent? You want to keep rolling? He's 90 years old. Marquise Brown is year-ended terribly with the Cardinals. Calvin Ridley.
Ugh.
I mean, it's not who was listed fifth on the list that I pulled up was Pro Football Focus is Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, there's some names there though.
And there's
Gabe Davis had a great year.
And there's always names that become available that you don't know right now that are, either going to get cut or potentially traded. So that's going to be an evolving situation.
Let's get to some other super chats in here.
Definitely get the likes up. I'll say that.
Yeah, let's get these likes up.
I'm a little upset with the amount of votes in our poll and the non-matching number.
How's that poll doing?
So let's see. For the listeners of the pod, I asked, are you satisfied with this move by the Bears? We have over 2,900 votes, only 771 likes. 52% say yes, 48% say no. That's a pretty even split.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of they're probably happy that Getsy was let go, but not happy overall.
Well, right. So I would say you're not satisfied. That's what I voted.
Got it.
What? Okay. Let's go supers, and then I got a question for you, Hoge.
Okay. Matt.
Yeah, here we're going to do some $20 ones.
Yes, that'd be good. Ethan, $20. Bears continue to give coaches too many chances, letting them go a year or two late. We had a chance to right those past wrongs this offseason, but we'll continue to make the same mistakes as an organization. Can
anybody, is there any reading into just even 1% Matt Eberflus, the way it was likely to return? Anybody doing anything with the likely?
I'm all for continuing to negotiate things outside of Flus, personally.
likely as in it's unlikely that we can get Jim Harbaugh, but if we can, then your likely becomes into
Don't do this to me.
see you later. I mean, there was I'm surprised you had brought up likely. What does likely mean?
I finally got some sleep last night. Don't do this to me.
I
think
almost
it's
texted.
likely Matt Eberflus is speaking to reporters today, which would kind of negate what you're saying.
I don't know. Can you still let him talk? Who cares? Then in 3 days, let's hire someone else. Can we do that?
What's the movie with the Yet? But the Yet. It was in High Fidelity.
Yeah.
But
Love that film.
but the likely.
Roz 77, $30. I'm tired of this organization being content with mediocrity. Eberflus has not shown anything to give us confidence we can contend for the playoffs with him, even if Poles likes him. The organization is full of cowards.
Let me ask you another question, Hoge, as we go through these, and you, Greg. The fact that Poles is doubling down on the Flus, does it make you lose confidence in the Poles?
Well, as the number one polls believer and supporter here on this show, I'll start. I do believe I do believe in Ryan Poles ultimately, and I've said this over and over. We can all have our opinions on what we would do and predictions on what we think will happen, but ultimately, I have a lot of belief in what Ryan Poles is doing, and I like the way he moves as our GM. And if he makes moves that I didn't predict or I wouldn't have done, I believe in Ryan Poles, and I stand by that. And whatever he decides as the head coach, I'm going to roll with. Whatever he decides at OC, I'm going to roll with. And whatever he decides at the quarterback situation, I'm going to roll with. The Bears are heading in the right direction. We can, vent out and air out our frustrations here early on, but they're headed in the right direction. And I can see that. And more additions to this roster has me believing that this team will be competitive next year, no matter whatever route Ryan Poles decides.
I need more information.
Yeah, counterpoint. If we're in a circle,
Yeah.
there's actually the right direction is actually just going back in
So
in
you're-
a circle.
So you're not you might.
Well, like
be
Hoge
losing
said,
faith in
he
Poles,
better
but-
be right. He
but-
better
but-
be right,
No,
which
I'm
is
just saying
fair to
better-
say.
I'm going to question if they – I think I'm going to question – I'm on record now for weeks and weeks. I hate the idea of Justin Fields learning another offense in year 4. I think that's just – unless it's – I mean, I'll wait and see who the OC is, and maybe it's an OC with a track record of like a good quarterback run game. But I'm going to seriously question that direction. But if he really believes in Flus, and he believes in Caleb Williams, and he believes in hiring the right offensive coordinator, work with Caleb Williams, and rebooting this offense with a defense that has turned the corner, then that I can understand. All that I can roll with. And by the way, none of that has to do with Justin Fields, so don't get all upset about Justin Fields. I just think, like, logically, to keep status quo, accept your OC, and make your fourth-year quarterback learn another new offense his third and 4 years, that's not good process to me. That I'll question.
And I'm not saying not to question anything, but I'm not going to be like, there's some fans that are like, will say things like, I can't wait until they get rid of Fields and the Bears are terrible next year. I can't wait until they keep Matt Eberflus and they miss the playoffs again next year. That's not how I fan. That's not how I'm looking at it.
We know, Greg.
Right. I'm just saying,
we're aware.
Right. So for me, like, you can have questions that are fair, and I think it's fair to hold the standard of you better be right. Like, that's a fair statement to make once he makes these decisions. But at the end of the day, Ryan Poles has put us in a good spot, and we always knew that these two big decisions were coming, and he's made one of them now.
Well, right. We're just rewinding back to the start of the question, which was, have you lost faith in, or do you question Poles a little bit more doing this? And your answer is no, and Hoge's answer is probably not, because he's letting it let it play out, and we'll see how the offseason goes. So I got it. Okay.
Well, yeah. Wait until the process plays out. I
More
think that goes without saying.
More supers. Javen Terry here, $10. Poles will be a hypocrite if he doesn't keep Justin. You're going to draft a QB because you believe he will be a better option, but refuse to do the same with the coach. Those are two different things. And we don't know that they had the equivalent of the number 1 pick with coaching. We don't know that Jim Harbaugh would have taken the job. We do not know that.
We don't.
I don't even know if he's leaving Michigan yet.
We don't.
That'll make me feel a lot better if he stays at Michigan, and that's part of the reason they were like, we're just going to stick
But
with
what if he stays at Michigan because he wanted the Bears job?
He's not staying at Michigan.
Well, just don't tell me.
He's not staying in Michigan. That super chat has a point in the fact that, like, you're really telling me that the best dude out there to coach the Bears right now is Matt Eberflus? That's a hell of a opinion right there.
Well, and that's the one thing that does have me a little worried about Poles. I'm not going to lie. I mean, because you can both think, I don't think Flus is that bad. I also don't think you can make an argument that he's the best option out there right now.
It's got to be a hard out. It almost feels like we're in a Bulls land. Like, you're really telling me that you looked all around the NBA and everyone that's coaching basketball when you got rid of Fred Hoiberg, and miraculously the best candidate somehow was sitting right there in Jim Boylan. Man, the best dude we could get. I don't know how that's possible, but he was sitting right on our bench, and his name's Jim Boylan. So it just does.
It comes with his own punch clock.
And there
guys.
And there was a mutiny 10 days later.
I think Flus showed progress. I think the defense turned the corner when Montez Sweat got here. They're flying around the football, getting to the quarterback. Ton of interceptions here the second half of the season.
Justin Jones doing great job in
that's
coverage.
That's where I was going to get to. I can see the progress. The biggest thing that I'll be still keeping an eye on and questioning is his situational handling in game strategy. And he even admitted that he is part of the room when they make short yardage on offense decisions. So the situational football for Matt Eberflus is the biggest question mark. Does he have a system in place? Is there progress? Should they be better next year with more talent added to it? Yes. But most games, talent or not, come down to the fourth quarter. And in situational moments, 3rd and 15 against the Browns, you cannot drop Justin Jones into coverage to play a tight end one-on-one. You cannot, in 3rd and long, how many times did we see all year in the Packers games on the first and last game of the season, put that on full display? Playing zone, dropping back, not getting the quarterback off his spot. They didn't have enough answers, and maybe the reason is they didn't have enough talent. But that is my biggest question for Eberflus next year is situational football.
Patrick Wetzel's 10 pounds sterling. The time is right. New era, new management. Do you think we will stand out from teams who did something similar in the past? Hi from your Dutch friend. Saw you at the tailgate versus the Packers in September. Those were good times.
Those were good times. Come back, Patrick.
We can go to that lot and just get drunk.
That's a good idea.
I mean, it's a little gravelly and cold.
Hey, Patrick, to answer your question, we'll stand out if Caleb Williams is who the Bears are going to hope that he is if they draft him.
All right. I have a Caleb Williams nugget.
Oh, another Hoge bomb 2 days in a row.
And I don't know if it's going to excite people or make them want to vomit. Could be both. But if you guys would like to do a quick break, I'm going to go.
Yeah?
Remember when I ran in here?
Yeah, no, I see.
You got a carm pee, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, but,
You'll take your time and wash your hands?
yes, I will.
That's always key.
Whatever.
Well, we did an emergency show here.
Mm-hmm.
We spent 72 hours, basically not living our lives, and then the news broke when all of us were commuting. That was fun. Stuff happens.
Can we just rewind to that for a second? I literally got there this morning where I'm like, maybe they are doing something super bold. Maybe I'm totally wrong on my Harbaugh take.
What were you doing when the news broke?
He's walking Poppy.
I was on my, let's just go full graphic. I was on my knees in the bathtub cleaning up the dog after she had, ran through the mud like a maniac this morning.
That's way less graphic than I thought was going to.
That was going.
Yeah.
Especially when you started on your knees.
I was giving my dog
on my knees in the bathtub. Like, okay.
I was giving my dog a bath. That's not graphic.
Okay, well, I was, I really got in there today.
Painting the picture.
Whatever, that's right. I was washing the dog. That's what I was doing.
Okay,
but
I was in traffic.
So,
Yeah,
but I had
awesome.
I had
Loved
my,
it.
my earbuds in. And I was, paying attention to what was going on. But then I was like, so I had to take them out, and then the phone wouldn't. I couldn't find the case to it. So
You don't need that much detail.
Yeah, and then I missed it.
Braggs, where were you?
I was speeding on the toll road and posting to our Twitter account.
Yeah, that's not good. I would suggest not doing that.
All right. More importantly
Why take the
than
toll
what I
road?
was doing and what Hope Braggs was doing is our friends at ComEd. It's getting easier for businesses to switch to electric vehicles. Like the best people out there, they're looking at this. They care about the world, and they do great things. And that's something that ComEd's doing. And it's, by the way, it's something that we can all get behind for the health of the planet and for the well-being of all of us who share it.
That's right. The electric grid is evolving to meet your cleaner energy needs as we all move with confidence towards an electric tomorrow. When you have one delivery van or a whole fleet of shipping trucks, ComEd can help guide you to make the changes that make sense.
What should business owners do, Breg, with all that Bregery?
Bregery.
My Bregdacious. What should they do?
Go
Dog.
to ComEd.com/clean to learn more about the resources, fleet rebates, and infrastructure incentives available to help businesses go electric. If you own a business, don't wait. Start making your plan today to switch to electric vehicles. Good for business, good for the planet, good for all of us. Go to ComEd.com/clean.
Did you say ComEd.com/clean?
Yes, I did. Go now and see how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
And if you want to bet on the great things that Matt Eberflus is going to do now that he is back with the Bears, without Luke Getsy, raising the bar, you should do it at the DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs. It's bringing you an offer, by the way. Someday the Bears will be in the playoffs hopefully next year, but right now you can bet on these playoffs. New customers, if you haven't signed up, $5 bet on any game, you get $200 instantly in bonus bets. That's up from the $150. You're up to $200. Let's get in there. Look, and we're going to dive deep into the playoff action this week when this thing all calms down. But what you want to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. You want to do it right now, and you want to use the code CHGO. Once again, new customers, $5. You get $200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the code CHGO. The crown is yours, Gregory. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. All right. Look, this is not the day that we exactly wanted, but this is the day that we are in, and I would like just to underline more so than anything else, whether they get the OC right or the head coach right, any of it right. What ultimately only matters is if you get the quarterback right. However they do it, I mean, I think they're going to draft Caleb. I think they should draft Caleb. That's my prediction of what they're going to do, all of that. But the bottom line, Flus or no Flus, Getsy or no Getsy. If you get that dude right, as Hoge was saying earlier, by the way, Patrick Mahomes wasn't going to come here and suck. He would have come here and been very, very, very good. That's what would have happened. They have to get it right. So that ultimately is going to matter the most on anything that they do. Just remember that if you're having a really bad Luke Getsy's here. But
well, to be clear, I don't think he'd have 2 Super Bowls, but I do think he'd be like Josh Allen, who's been good, but doesn't have a Super Bowl yet.
I think we'd have 7.
Well, I got to get my Caleb Williams thing.
Yeah, okay.
So I was watching more.
So you agree?
I was watching more Caleb Williams tape last night.
Nuggets.
Okay.
No, it's not a nugget. It's an observation.
Yeah.
The way he...
It was a nugget a minute ago. You got me excited about nuggets.
Now I'm hungry. I want some chicken nuggets.
I'm kind of hungry, too.
Like the
Starting the show early,
dinosaur-shaped nuggets or
No, standard
regular?
nuggets. Yeah,
I had 23 blueberries today. I feel great.
maybe tendies.
Why would you count those?
Well, he always eats his fruit in multiples of MJ.
How OCD are you? You count the amount of blueberries?
I agree.
First
you got to
of
eat
all-
23 blueberries.
First of all,
Can't eat 33 blueberries. You got to eat 23.
I'm just lightly guessing at how many I had. I just had a huge mound, but I'm going to say it's 23 because everything should be 23 because Michael Jordan's the greatest thing that ever do anything. Go ahead.
And Devin Hester's a Hall of Famer.
There you go.
Straight. Few weeks.
So Caleb Williams, especially in the quick game, how he throws slants. He throws a lot. The accuracy, they're like darts. Who do you think that reminded me of?
Aaron Rodgers.
Ding, ding. That was really good.
That's because I've been watching his tape, brother.
Oh.
Mr. Cherry Pepsi
He
Zero.
has the arm ability of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And that, people are, you're obsessed. You love Caleb. You hate Fields. Just watch his tape and shut up.
Well, one could. We should cut that, please. One thing we need to stop right now is this any type of comparison that Caleb Williams is Justin Fields. He's not. He gets rid of the ball way faster, way more accurate on shorter throws, always leading the receivers on perimeter throws. I don't. He's not holding on to the ball the same way. The times he holds on to the ball, what he is guilty of sometimes is playing hero ball where he's looking for the home run and misses the double underneath, or even sometimes the single. But he's not failing to pull the trigger when he's got somebody open. He's just looking beyond that. And it's not like he's not reading the coverage. He's got to have some tendencies coached out of him, which are, always wanting a home run when it's not always going to be there at the next level. And some of these miraculous throws he throws up that just aren't going to cut it in the NFL. They'll be intercepted. That's my fear. But there's no real – I don't see Justin Fields at all when I watch Caleb Williams. I really don't. And, yeah, I was watching especially the quick game stuff, and just picture how Aaron Rodgers used to pick the Bears apart, third down slants. Just anytime it was just 1-2 throw, 1-2 throw, just like that. Dart, dart, dart. And that's just not – everything with Justin in those moments is more 1, 2, hesitate, throw.
And even the throwing motion is,
Yeah, the release, Caleb's release is way quicker. There's no question.
Where he also is at Justin is as a guy. And I don't know Caleb Williams. I'm not trying to take any benefit of any doubt away from him. Maybe but the biggest question I would think that they would have, can you come in here and handle this market?
Right. Yeah.
You're going to have to climb up in the locker room too, but if you can play, they'll fall in love with you real fast.
Well, the scariest part about going with Caleb Williams is the hardest part of evaluating any draft prospect, especially quarterback. And that is the one thing you already know about Justin, is how he's viewed in the locker room, his dedication, how much he cares about football, and he can handle the market. Those are big.
Yep.
Those are big questions.
100%.
And so,
especially walking into a locker room that loved and adored Fields.
Right. I just wish we could have these conversations where people understand that we're saying that at the same time, but there really is not a debate about those other things I said. I'm sorry. I've watched enough quarterback play. Like he's a better passer. He just is. Caleb Williams is a better passer than Justin Fields. It's
wouldn't
not
be
really debatable.
He wouldn't be the number 1 overall pick if he wasn't. There is a reason why he is viewed the way he is viewed. The dude is wildly talented. The questions about you lost to UCLA. You decided after you lost to UCLA as the quarterback at USC who's making $1 million plus in NIL money that you didn't want to meet the media. That's not great, man. That is immaturity. And Lord knows at 22 years old, I was driving down the expressway and trying to beat the expressway gates to get on the fast thing.
Oh,
and
I love that story.
Yeah. So and I got spun around, and I'm lucky that I'm here today. So we've all done dumb things, but this is nobody was giving me making me the first overall pick and paying me zillions of dollars. Like, you are being entrusted to be the guy. Can you do it? These are important interviews, and
You're my number 1 overall pick.
thanks, buddy.
But the thing that you said earlier, like, well, all that matters is the quarterback position. I don't think that's true. You have to pair him with an offensive coordinator that knows what he's doing, because that's why it's so vital. This is where they dropped the ball and they failed Justin Fields. They brought in an offensive coordinator who had never called plays. He was a quarterback coach for Aaron Rodgers. He didn't develop Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was fully developed when he coached him. And so you need somebody that you're bringing in here that not only can develop Caleb Williams at the NFL level, but also have an understanding of how to call plays and build an offensive system that's going to get the most out of your players around him. And if you don't, then you are going to fail him, just like Justin Fields was failed, and just like many examples of quarterbacks that aren't doing or that haven't done well or became busts. That was their story.
Of course, it matters. I'm just saying it matters a lot less when you have a stud and you have some talent around him. The Bears are going to have talent around him, and if he is who everyone thinks he is, then you have a stud. So the guy whoever's coaching, whoever they decide on that, you are way ahead of the game. If you blow it in that scenario, then you suck, and then it's a horrible hire that is just incredibly embarrassing to the organization.
But again, with Justin Fields, it wasn't just that the offensive coordinator wasn't a good hire. The team last year was terrible. They bring in Luke Getsy, and they don't have any weapons, and they're trying to build a system around that, and it failed miserably. Now, this year, an offensive coordinator coming in will have a bit of a head start because they have pieces here. They have DJ Moore. They have Cole Kmet. They've got a couple pieces on the offensive line. They're going to have to add some more, but it is becoming, it's not all the way there yet, but it is becoming a conducive environment to build a quarterback with the talent around him. You make the right moves this offseason, but that offensive coordinator hire is crucial for whether it's a rookie quarterback or even Justin Fields.
All right, more Super Chats here. Seth Crane's $50 saying that the diehard chat has gone full crazy mode today. Also says, become a diehard. We have lots of good memes. Trade idea, give 9 and Fields to New England for 3 and take both Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr.
The Discord chat is always on fire. You become a diehard, you can get in there. Hey, Gary was killing it. He was throwing me a lot of information, and it all came to fruition today. Said Getsy was gone, Flus would stay. Said they were going to announce it today. So shout out to my guy Gary. I love you.
Gary is the greatest human being that's ever walked the Bears planet.
He's dialed it. He's as dialed in as any Bears fan I've ever met.
In all seriousness, the diehard Discord is a great place to go because I don't know if you've noticed, but Bears fans everywhere are losing their minds on social media, and we have this great Discord that you can go in there, and it might be a little crazy today, I'm sure, because there's been some big news. But for the most part, you go in there, and if you want nuance, reasonable conversation about your favorite team.
It's not as toxic as Bears Twitter.
With people that you also sort of get to know and kind of understand their takes, so you're not just randomly
meet up at the events.
You're not getting some random person on Twitter that's responding to you and taking something you're saying completely out of context.
Or in the YouTube chat.
Or the YouTube chat. Yeah. The Discord, in all seriousness, I'm being 100% serious about this, is great because it's like a real community, people you get to know, and then Gary's in there policing you. And you don't want to cross Gary. I mean, we've all learned this. You do not want to cross Gary. But I'm being serious. He's, they keep things reasonable in there. And every once in a while, and honestly, we should do it more than we do. We jump in there too. And
you're lurking in there.
I've been lurking. I let everyone know.
You're spying.
I've been watching. So
I mean,
as you said, I've been watching. You looked at your watch, and I thought you were.
I got a spy camera right now. On this okay. No, actually, I just got a text that was kind of important. So just.
Yeah, I think the other aspect that we haven't talked about. I don't know if I want to transition here, but like
whatever you want to do.
Well, we haven't really.
We are gonna have a. Let me just make sure I can share this. 3:00 press conference at Halas Hall.
3 p.m. Central presser coming up.
What does that mean?
I don't exactly know at this point who's. I think there's a team sending out an email shortly, so we'll know exactly who's talking, what's happening. But I would expect to hear from Ryan Poles, Matt Eberflus, Kevin Warren. The only one I would not completely sure is George McCaskey, but George usually at these end of season pressers will do a thing on the side. So, but answers, even if they're not the answers you want, coming your way here in about 3 hours and 10 minutes.
Well, then that's where I wanted to take it was Kevin Warren, because we haven't talked.
K-Dub?
We haven't talked enough about Kevin Warren here today. We've talked about Poles and Matt Eberflus and the quarterback situation ad nauseum, and we will continue to. But Kevin Warren continues to be like this question mark of who he is to this organization, how much football input he has. And I am curious to see if he's going to be a part of this press conference today. I hope he is, because I want to start hearing how he's putting his fingerprints on this organization, because too many times have we had decision makers that weren't attached to this organization, Ernie Accorsi, Bill Polian, guys that were making, recommendations on who we should hire as the head coach or GM of this team that hold no accountability to the team after it's done. Kevin Warren, I want to hear how much accountability you have towards the decisions that are being made. So when they work out or not, then I'll give credit where it's due or blame when it makes sense.
Today feels like a Poles and Flus to me, if I had to guess. Would you agree?
They usually do it all together. They'll usually do.
So Warren by himself?
But the most similar thing to this was in 2020 when, and I guess that was actually by that point, January of 2021, when George and Ted held the press conference.
Right.
To explain. And I think if you start with Flus, you could have Poles. I don't think Poles and Flus should get up there together to start, because that puts Flus in a weird spot where you gotta. Why'd you keep him?
Right.
Like all the questions are going to be to Poles there, and it's all going to be about this guy sitting right next to him. Why'd you keep him? What's going on here?
Can you imagine him just sitting there with the hair and smiling. I'm back, baby. Okay, so.
Yeah, so I don't know. Do you have Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles do a press conference together?
And just leave Flus out of it?
Now, in the past, they would do GM, head coach, and then you would get Ted Phillips, George McCaskey off to the side, not in a public press conference. I don't know. And by the way, new leadership. What does Kevin Warren want to do? How does he want to handle this? He might say, I want to be the voice that's explaining everything. Well, and maybe that's the first guy that talks. We're going to find it. It's kind of silly to speculate right now because they're about to tell us.
Let's see who gets it right. It's weird. I guess as I think about it 17 times over, sitting here in this chair for the last 2 minutes, I guess I would, if I had to bet, I'm going to go with Poles and Flus, Poles and Warren, because Matt Eberflus shouldn't have to necessarily answer about him being back. But how much input did the Flus have in the Getsy decision? Or was that all Ryan? How do we think that went?
I'm sorry, repeat the question. How much?
How much input did Matt Eberflus have in keeping not keeping Getsy?
Yeah. Right, because it could have been a situation where they told him you have to. If you want to keep your job, you have to, which was the whole role-playing thing we did yesterday.
I mean, I made the decision that we need a new offensive coordinator. That's what I'm saying, that I'm Ryan Poles. Or I made the decision that we need an offensive coordinator. I'm Matt Eberflus.
Yeah.
We made it. They'll probably say we made it collaboratively, but who had the juice on that? It's obviously Poles has the right to do what he's going to do. He's above him.
Yeah.
So.
In the meantime, let's keep getting through some supers. We normally start this show at noon every day, so we are going to stay on here for a little bit longer. I want to make sure people who are coming in at a regular time understand that we're still here for, maybe at least till 12:30. But at some point, we are talking in circles until we hear from these guys. So what we'll probably do, as I do a production meeting on the air right now, is reconvene. We'll make sure this press conference later is covered, and then we'll come back, I think, later today with another show after the press conferences to recap everything. It's probably what our game plan is going to be. So we'll stick going. We'll get through all these super chats right now. We'll continue to talk about what's coming out. But then we'll probably pause, for a few hours until we get more answers from those at Halas Hall, come back, and then react to it a little bit later on this afternoon.
Get some lunch?
Yes, and we need to eat.
Are we going to do it from here? And we're not going to go home?
You're not going home.
We'll have to figure out the schedule.
Yeah, we have to figure out studio space. And
I got Bulls tonight, so I'm going to be here till midnight. I brought my pillow.
Interesting.
What do you need a pillow for?
Just like it here.
Because when you drink that all day long, eventually the crash comes and he needs his pillow.
It's 0 sugar.
Yeah, okay.
It's not 0 something else.
Do you see the
what makes
list
it
of
taste
ingredients?
Sweet? If it's 0 sugar, what makes it taste sweet?
I don't know. There's 2% sodium in here.
At some point, you might want to think about your life and your future.
Carbonated water.
We don't have to do it right now.
Caramel color.
Put that thing down.
Phosphoric acid.
Potential
that sound good.
Potential sponsor. It's outstanding product.
I put phosphoric acid in everything.
Phosphoric acid.
Yeah.
There you go.
Jim,
Duke,
get us Pepsi.
No, he just told me that he actually bought the 12-pack that you're drinking, and you've drank them all. It was for him, but you drank them all.
Good.
you've been drinking his 12-pack?
I thought it was mine. I bring them all the time. Jim. Sit down.
The Duke, $20. The only logical thing from here is to recruit the top offensive coordinator available with both money and the opportunity to scout and pick the quarterback of your choice.
Wait, hold on.
I agree.
Yeah, well.
Keep these going, guys. I need a second.
Got you.
Can you go back to the Duke for just 1 second? Because I want to read what he said in the end there, Lawrence. I'm sorry.
It's gone.
Is it gone for good?
It's gone forever.
No, he can find it. He's lost the man. Obviously, with both the dollars and the opportunity to scout and pick the quarter, they're not going to let the. See, that's why I want to quibble with you here, Duke. This person's not getting to make the decision. The decision is being made by Ryan Poles, and he might be able to tell the OC, "This is what we're doing," and get his opinion on it. But we're not going to let the OC, who's ever coming in, make the decision of who they're going to play at quarterback. Okay, next. Daniel Hinch, $20 from the Hincher. 2 Bears offensive coordinators have lasted more than 2 seasons in the last 25 years.
Holy shit.
Is this right? Ron Turner, 05 to 09. John Shoop, 01 to 03.
Shoop.
The Shoopy Shoop.
How did Shoop make it?
The next will be the 13th OC in 26 seasons. I'm going to trust Daniel's research on this to be correct. That is pathetic. And
that just highlights why this is such an important hire. I mean, it's just as important as the quarterback.
The next closest thing to that would have been just the fact that Nagy was here for 4 years and was the head coach.
That's fair.
But he had different offensive coordinators come through the door
and had to give up
and gave up play calling
twice.
six different times. You're right, because Gase and then Loggins for 2 years, Cromer under Tressman. I mean, we had the list of OCs under since Lovie Smith.
It highlights what we already know, and that the problem with organizations that never win, it's not the coaches, it's the top, and they have terrible processes, and there it is for you. Cromer, Gase, Loggins.
Super Chat takes it back even farther. So this is just since Lovie Smith was fired. So you had Cromer for 2 years. You had Adam Gase for 1. You had Dal Loggins for 2. You had Helfrich for 2. You had Bill Lazor for 2. You had Luke Getsy for 2. It's a great point.
Yeah. And just shouting out credit to our, people around the league. I'm pretty sure Brad Biggs also was the one to put that out on Twitter.
Biggs time.
Oh, wait, so you're – okay, just checking.
I always want to, I always give credit where credit is
except
due.
the initial
Brad
tweet
Biggs
today
tweeted
about the
that.
firing.
Brad Biggs tweeted that 2 hours ago.
About that? Well,
Yes.
in our defense, we put that graphic up 2 days ago.
No, not the graphic. The 25 years.
We
I'm
got
not
it.
trying to thank you for the super chat. I'm just also giving Brad Biggs the proper credit.
You got anything for
Biggs time.
You want to
That's
give
what
Weeder
I-
credit for anything?
I
What about
give
Finley?
Weeder a lot of
Anything
credit.
for Finley? What
And
about
Finley,
Johns?
I told you Finley picked the Bears
Tell us
better
what you
than
really think about Pat Finley.
Pat Finley picked the Bears better than anyone in this city. And this was one of the hardest years to pick the Bears game to game, and he went 13-4, making all of us.
Okay.
I
look
went
like
9-1 in my
fools.
last 10. It wasn't that hard.
Why do you got to? Why are you so into Finley?
I'm not. You asked me.
You're just reaching for
Good
Finley.
dresser.
All right.
Finley and Nicholas Moriano are the two best dressed individuals.
What about Herb? Herb Howard.
I was
Herb's
gonna
a
say
good
Herb.
dresser.
No one has ever stood more upright than Patrick Finley. He's the most upright dude of all time.
I don't know.
You're
That's
right.
not a criticism. I have fixed my posture since
Sounds like
April.
someone needs to
Since
get
they spent
Mark has terrible
$2,000 on
posture.
my
He
back.
walks around like a slouch. He
I
looks
have
like
terrible
a
posture right
pregnant
here.
worm.
A pregnant worm.
Yeah, he's like slender, and then he's got this
I'm not slender.
belly.
I do have bad posture.
He's
You're
got
right.
a
I
weird
can't-
belly. He's like supposed to be skinny, but I feel like his pot belly is bigger than mine.
That's
So a
not-
pregnant
that's-
worm.
Let's not go crazy over there. F something here. What do we got
Fick
here?
Bletterman.
Fick Blerdman. I don't know.
Fick Blerdman. I
Blerdman.
think this move means JF1 stays. Flus has to know his best overall chance to win next year is JF1 as QB. This is not an Alex Smith situation. They are giving Flus a year to make it happen and then full reset if he doesn't. Matt Eberflus has 2 years left on his contract. And to me, and we're all kind of seeing this how we want to see it. There's a confirmation bias, I think, with how all of us are assessing how this is going to go. But I would argue, you Bletterman, I would say drafting Caleb Williams would extend his leash. And if, Caleb doesn't get them to the playoffs next year, that they'll have more time to put everything together as long as the defense doesn't fall apart.
It's FIQB.
Fick Bletterman.
Okay.
Blerdman. Oh, Fick Blerdman. I was putting the D in front of the R. Fick Blerdman.
right.
Whatever.
We love you, Fick. I'm going to just go, yeah, Fick.
Fick you.
1999 from the Duke. Wrong, Greg. If the OC unlocks Fields, he gets promoted to our head coach. That was one thought that I might only had. Then I quickly said that I was wrong about. But this OC thing, we're making the associate head coach, offensive coordinator, to make it a little bit more intriguing, entertaining, exciting. Possibly, I doubt it. But thank you, Duke. We love you, Duke. Fran Chile from the Fran.
I would say
Chile. 1999. I'm late to the stream. Does keeping Flus mean that if we have another mediocre season next year that Poles has to go too? Oof. That one I hadn't thought of. And no. Let's see here. By the way, the presser is being announced via email.
I got it for you right here.
Okay.
So, at 3:00 press conference at Halas Hall, and it will start with Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus, with Kevin Warren to follow after that. That's all been announced in terms of guys in talking. They also made the firings of offensive coordinator Luke Getsy, quarterbacks coach Andrew Janocko, wide receiver coach Tyke Tolbert, running backs coach Omar Young, who was the second running backs coach they had this year, and assistant tight ends coach Tim Zetz. They made all of those official, so those are the guys that are out. That means that as of right now, Chris Morgan, the offensive line coach, is still employed, in Jim Dre, the tight ends coach, still employed. However, I mean, that doesn't mean that they're definitely going to be here. You bring in a new OC, oftentimes they want a new offensive line coach.
You think so? Like that they have that much say over
Yes.
those guys? Okay.
Well, if you
I didn't know if that was a head coach.
Well, it's a collaborative thing, but
collaboration.
If an OC comes in running a completely different system that's not outside zone, I don't know if Chris Morgan's the right coach to teach it.
Wait,
So.
really quick, how you started that? You said Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus. Does that mean they're going to be together?
It seems like it, based on the wording in the release. It seems like it said they'll be made available to the media at 3:00, followed by Kevin Warren.
Michael H. in the chat. I enjoyed chatting with many of you over the years. I am done as a Bears fan, but hope they do better for you guys. Michael H., you aren't going anywhere.
You're going
Sit
nowhere.
down.
Michael H. will have
not going anywhere.
Michael H. will be at our tailgate on September. What is that going to be? 9th next year?
I don't know.
No, whatever.
September 9th. Sounds right.
H to the Izzo. You're not.
With a brand new number 13 jersey,
Oh,
Yep. Our
ready to go.
CHGO 13 jersey, shirt.
Wait,
brick by brick, as my guy.
Brick by brick is fine. Meatball Island, whatever you want. Michael H., you ain't going nowhere.
We
Sit down.
We hug you
stick
up.
this out.
When you feeling down, we bring you into the circle. We give you that love that you're looking for, Michael H. We got you, buddy. We also have Chicago Sports Guy, $49.99, a $50 Big Bang. Love a good Big Bang. Even though it's not the order that we want, doesn't it make sense that Eberflus would get to move forward with a QB they draft? Why would we be tied to Justin Fields when this regime didn't select him? Sort of makes sense. They had to go pick
He'd get
his
to pick
guy.
his guy.
That he'd get to pick his guy.
Oh, that he'd get. Okay. Well,
You guys are terrible.
I mean, the Flus isn't picking it, but listen, the bottom line where we started this whole thing, Ryan Poles likes Matt Eberflus, man. He's. I'm telling you, I know you guys don't see it, but he has been so steady. That's what he said earlier in the year when things were. He's so steady in the room, and Bears social media. Hey, mic up the Flus. Go follow him around. Look at how he high fives everybody on the team. He's got a nickname for everyone. He's the Flus. Look at the way he's in the room with Jalen Johnson and Montez Sweat in his
Don't
jeans.
look at those jeans.
In his jeans that don't fit. But look at how much rapport he has with all his guys. They like him. They're Flusies. Some of you are Swifties. They're Flusies. Poles is a Flusie. You might not be a Flusie, but Poles is a Flusie. All right. The Duke is busy today. 1999. Hoge. I think plenty of former NFL quarterbacks have pointed out having a new system installed is an overrated excuse for bad quarterback performance. The personnel matters far more. There's a whole offseason to learn a new system. Duke, I've heard the same stuff. They're not reinventing the wheel here, right?
Yeah.
Well, how many years in a row with Jay Cutler, who's the best quarterback of my lifetime, how many years in a row did they have a different offensive coordinator?
Yeah, look, I get the point, Duke, and I think it's fair to a certain extent. Because C.J. Stroud had a new system this year and was a rookie and looked pretty good. But they're also not – the Texans aren't winning the Super Bowl this year, right? Like – I think any quarterback would also tell you that everyone's better off in the second year in a system than the first year. There's still only so much you can run cleanly in your first year. So if your point is that Justin can still learn another system and flourish, I agree with your point that it's ultimately more up to how the quarterback plays than what the system actually is. But the problem is we're not asking Peyton Manning to learn a new system here. We're asking a quarterback that hasn't figured it out. through 3 years to learn a new system. So that's the problem. It's like, how much is it going to hold him back? C.J. Stroud showed in 1 year he could do it. We've yet to see that here. And honestly, we didn't see – my grades aren't completely finalized on Justin Fields' season. I'm hoping to get there by the end of this week and maybe have that for you guys early next week. But right now, it's showing he regressed from year 1 to year 2.
Year 2 to year 3?
I'm talking about in this system. Yes, year 2 to year 3 overall, but year from the first year to the second year in Getsy's, it didn't. But maybe that's more ammo that he can learn it, because his best season was year 1 in Getsy's system. So maybe that supports Duke's point. If you're starting over, it better be the right system, Duke. It better be the right system. That's all I'm saying. It better be very, very friendly to Justin Fields.
I'm just having a hard time believing that that's the route they're going to go.
Especially because I don't even think we've made the point yet in the show that these guys didn't draft Justin. And that's still a very real thing.
That was just made in the last Super while you were working out. Yeah, no, it's well, right. I think that gets overplayed. You are in charge of the roster. This is your team. Who fits, who doesn't? Like, it works out with Justin. You get the credit, man. No one's gonna be like, well, it's the only time, at least in my life, where that doesn't work. Hey, you didn't draft Jordan, and you wouldn't have drafted Jordan Krause, and I don't care how much credit you get, and everybody wants to give it to you. You didn't pick him, and you wouldn't have picked him. You would have had Mel Turpin here, like they put in the movie Air, which was phenomenal. So, anyway,
you're talking about arrogant.
This is different. Like they have been in charge with getting the most out of him, and to this point, they haven't gotten enough out of him.
Yep.
So, I don't know. If he loved him, I don't think he'd be like, I'm moving on. Like, I didn't pick him. I got to move on. Griffin Johnson, 1999. Don't bully Braggs for losing sleep over what the Bears do. If you're a true fan, you do the same. Keep Fields, run it back. Bears Super Bowl 2024. Braggs, you're the GOAT for following me on Twitter, by the way.
Let's go, Griffin. Appreciate you.
That's all you do is suck up to everybody so they like you.
Yeah, there it is. There it is, Carm.
I love all
Nobody's genuine but Carm. Everybody else is phony.
Don't lump me.
There it is.
Don't lump me into other people who call you
non-genuine. There it is.
I don't call you.
$20 super chat SBR. I love polls, but his undying loyalty to super nice guy Flus is a mistake. Almost his entire staff got fired, and his win-loss record is awful. What more evidence does he need that he's not a good head coach? He's a good DC at best. I definitely think I agree that he's proven he's a good DC. Has he proven he's a good head coach yet? No. With the win-loss record, I don't, with Justin Fields or Matt Eberflus, I do not include last year. This year is a fair assessment, and they fell short of their goals. They did win 7 games. They could have won 8.
They're 1-7 against teams with a winning record.
I understand. Go look at the Cowboys. They're in the playoffs, and they beat a lot of teams with bad records. That's part of the game in the NFL. You beat who you're supposed to beat on your schedule. And in the second half of the season, they started, and after the first 4 games of the year, they started to do that. We can acknowledge the progress they made with understanding that they aren't Super Bowl ready yet. So they still have a lot more to prove. They are on a climb. This isn't complete sky is falling. Did I want to upgrade at head coach? Sure, but can I acknowledge that things are headed in the right direction? Yes. Does that guarantee that we're going to walk off into the sunset with a Super Bowl? No, that's yet to be determined.
You make great points, SBR. It hasn't been good, but this is it's a trust in polls, believe in Flus moment, I guess. 1999 again from the Duke. Hate it, you all want, but if your primary focus is getting the QB right, you take a QB at 1 or trade back if you like someone better, and you let Fields play out year 4. The QB competition didn't kill Trubisky. He just stunk.
Which he actually won that competition to start the year. That year him and Nick Foles faced off for a QB competition in the COVID year.
I'm down for a QB competition if you trade back. If you're doing it at 1, then you got to get assets for Justin and help whoever you're picking at 1. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I just think if you're going to try to do a competition with Fields and Caleb Williams, it's going to be very apparent very early on that Williams is a better passer. And then that's where maybe to your fear earlier in the show, brags about dividing the locker room comes in pretty quickly. Because at that point, you might not have lost games yet. You might still have guys in there that feel like Justin's the better leader. And
it feels like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah,
Right. If it was a quarterback competition and not we're going to draft this guy and he's going to wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, quarterback competition, it will be a very interesting training camp, to put it mildly.
Because of everything that Justin does well in the running game especially, you can't really simulate that in practice. I just feel like head-to-head from a passing standpoint, especially in the parameters where you can't, it's not live bullets. The best evaluation would probably still come in the preseason games, but even that, it's vanilla coverages. It's not a fair thing. Knowing what I know and from what I've watched on film, in that environment, in that setting, I find it very hard to believe that Caleb Williams wouldn't win the competition. And I would also say that it's fair for the players in that locker room to be like, well, that wasn't a fair competition because it's not live bullets, and we still love Justin, and we have his back, and he's our leader. And that's where I'm not completely against the idea. I think we all sort of know where that would lead anyway. And so you might as well maximize the trade value for Justin Fields when you can. El Taco Guapo, $20. My question for Poles is, how can you trust Flus to hire the right OC in DC when he couldn't get it right the first time? Poles and Warren starting to look like company men. That question right there, El Taco Guapo, I can guarantee you will be asked at the press conference today.
That is so.
Which brings us back. Can we bring up that graphic again of all the coaches that have been let go from Matt Eberflus's staff?
That feels like the leisure question, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. I mean, these are, so his DC's gone, his OC's gone, his QB coach is gone, his wide receiver coach is gone, his running backs coach is gone, his second running backs coach is gone, and his assistant tight ends coach is gone. I mean, that's a long list of assistants to have. And these are just the ones that were like, go. I mean, there's a couple guys I think last year that left. There was like, I forget who it was. There was like assistant DB's coach or something last year, but that was different. Like, these are firings, with the one exception of Alan Williams technically resigned. The rest of those are firings, and we all know the Alan Williams situation wasn't good. Like, both coordinators, all those key assistants, that's something that has to be asked and answered today.
Matt, in essence, everyone you've hired has either done something incredibly wrong off the field or couldn't coach on the field. What do you, to Bears fans right now, who are wondering why you should be in charge of this next hiring, what gives you confidence you can get it right here, Flus? I mean,
the Flusy.
I mean, it's not just.
That's the one I've been working on. Glamorous. EBERLUS. I'm feeling Flusy. Into 2024. I'm feeling Flusy.
Under Halas Hall, I got my Poles here.
God.
He loves me. I don't know that song well enough to really do all the lyrics.
No, you don't.
Well, why don't you jump in there, unfun Greg?
Unfun Greg.
Why are you all of a sudden the killer of fun?
Flusy. All right, that's it.
There you go. That was good. That was good.
Julian, $10. Everyone hit that like and subscribe button. Appreciate the CHGO team always coming through in the clutch with the emergency pop. By the way, we'll set up our next show. We'll get that link out soon, and you can actually hit a notification button because it'll probably be a fluid start time based on when the press conferences end. So you can get the notifications from when we go live.
I think we'll be on at 4:23.
You think it's going to go an hour? There's no chance they let that presser go more than 30 minutes.
Both of them?
Well, I don't know that Kevin Warren might talk off to the side. There's things we still got to figure out here.
I figure out nothing.
Greg Jeffries, $9.99. Chris Morgan needs to go too. Feels like the line from an eye test don't know, the stats back this up, hasn't handled stunts well since the staff got here, and I'd assume it's an indictment on him. I will say this, though, having covered the last few offensive lines and coaches, I think Chris Morgan was an upgrade over Juan Castillo.
I thought the offensive line did a good job for the most part this year. They had a lot of injuries. Nate Davis was out to start the year for personal reasons, and Tevin Jenkins got hurt, and Darnell Wright, I think, played injured all year. You know, he was battling through injuries, shoulder stuff, you know, and so, you know, we all understand what the center position looked like this year. So that plays a big part in the stunts, I feel like. So, but overall, Tevin Jenkins, you know, there was a big question of them moving him to guard. Tevin didn't like it at first. Tevin flourished in that role as a guard. I hope he returns. Darnell Wright, I thought his development was great. Braxton Jones for a 5th-round left tackle when he came back from injury, I thought really did a good job to hold the position down. It may be so much so that they don't even draft a left tackle with one of those top 2 picks. And if you'd asked me early in the season, I would have thought that was a foregone conclusion. So I think there's some bright spots with the offensive line, but more work that needs to be done.
Chris Morgan looks like Greg Braggs.
Does he?
I'm glad he's staying. Simo. He's got a great nickname, too.
Simo.
At least they found somebody on the staff that was doing a good job.
All right,
I'm happy we got one.
let's get through this. I'm hungry.
Me too.
Get through this. You're hungry. All right, $10 from Isaac Siegel. I just had to digest
You might
that.
want to start reading faster. I'll
Please
say
channel this energy into the questions asked. Poles and Flus. Lay out the history with Trestman, Fox, Lovey, and ask how it worked out with giving Nagy another shot. Please force them into a corner. No BS. Thank you, Isaac.
That's a good one.
Got you. Nick's watching. He's in the chat. He sees you. Reggie, $10.
He's like Santa.
He's like Santa. He sees you when you're sleeping. Cliff Kingsbury as the next OC, lock it in.
That seems like more of a Carm thing, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, you know, just watching the Caleb stuff, everybody knows that I've been really keeping my eye on that. I think that that's a real possibility.
That's interesting. Jonathan Parts, $10. I'm at a loss. This is an embarrassment. I get it. The defense improved, but Flus has not shown an ability to run a coaching staff, and they're running it all back. He's a DC, not a HC. I'm sick.
I completely agree.
I'm with Jonathan.
Dude's, but I, you know, he is adorable though. He's an adorable DC. You should have added that.
We don't even know if his defense though can be like a real top defense. Like even in Indy, they were top 10, but they weren't like Vic Fangio 2018 dominant.
Well, since week 5, they've been one of the top defenses.
Yeah, but not against the good teams they play.
You're not going to play a good team every week, Hoge. I mean,
you are in the Super Bowl.
Okay, but you're just talking about. All right, that's fair.
Raise your expectations.
I am raising my expectations, but
stop being yeah, Emma. Raise your expectations. I saw you look over here when you walked in. I'm just yelling at Greg. Don't worry.
When Alperovich walks in, it's all another thing.
Why do you accept mediocrity?
You two stand
You know
our.
the gif of like the toddler who walks in the room and then immediately turns around? That's like what Emma just did. She was like, what did I just walk into?
That's right.
Yeah.
We've been
We
yelling.
don't play a good team every week.
Tom Rose.
Can't be.
What are you doing? Did you just have a stroke?
He does this like Jabba the Hutt voice for me now.
I don't like it. Last year we had a good Braggs impression.
If the shoe fits.
You had a good Braggs impression last year.
Yeah, the shoe's going to fit
I don't-
up your ass here in a minute.
I like it. Let's go. Where are we going to lunch? Let's go.
Tom Rose, $9.99. Here's my hope. Poles and Warren look at Flus and Justin as the bridge while building the roster over the next 1 to 2 years. Don't commit to either. Keep future options open.
You want to wait another 2 years?
Tell you what, if that's the case, though, they're not going to have the number 1 pick in 2 years.
Unless they trade it.
Tyler, $9.99. 10-24 Flus, 1-7 against teams above 500. Impress polls with wins down the stretch against dog shit teams. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. 3 double-digit fourth quarter blown leads. Record.
Tyler, sounds to me like you've got some questions for Ryan Poles.
You got this one, Carm.
I got it. Kazuto, $10 super chat. I consider myself a positive person, but even I am having a tough time seeing this work out. You're basically hoping that marriage of OC and quarterback is a home run.
That's right, Kazuto. That you just got there. You talked yourself into it.
Juan De La Cruz, $9.99 super chat. If changing the culture and expectations is a must, then the coach has to go. New coach, new quarterback, new standards.
People like the culture, Juan. They're into the culture.
Brian Marshall, $9.99 super chat. Is there a risk that by interviewing OCs, Poles has no choice but to tip his hand to the league about what they're doing at quarterback in the draft, thereby decreasing leverage? Definitely a point I made. It feels like
That's a scary thought.
with what OC they hire might show the direction they're going at quarterback. Maybe not, but I mean, and certainly when they're interviewing these candidates, you'd think that they're going to tell these candidates what their quarterback is going to be next year.
It's debatable how much leverage they have. The leverage comes in how much do people want the number one pick, which is a lot, and how much of a market there is for Justin, not the Bears playing
Put it
poker.
this way. They hire Cliff Kingsbury. We all know what they're doing at quarterback.
That's fair.
Now, if there's other candidates, it may not be as obvious, but that's one that would make it very obvious. D. Schumack, $27, $9.99 super chat. Jim Caldwell?
For
Exactly. Jim Caldwell? He was the finalist for the head coaching job a few years ago.
Yep. Kentucky Bears fan, $9.99 super chat. No worthwhile candidate is coming here to struggle with Fields and get fired with Flus in a year. However, as Jameis Winston said, if you go with CW, some quality candidates will consider the job.
you need to find the Phil Snow of offensive coordinators.
Boy.
You really do. If you're sticking with Justin, that's what you got to find.
Ken Majahowski.
Let's say his first name right. It's Kevin.
Kevin
It's
Majah.
probably Majewski.
Kevin
Massajuski?
Massajuski. Let's not forget the last offer staff change. Well, let's not forget the last offer staff changed Justin so much that he'll probably have to change a lot for the next offensive staff, and I'd rather have a new QB.
Majewski underlining it with a power ending there. All right. John Brosio, Big J, I know there's no evidence, but from your guys' expertise of understanding the organization, do you think George had any say on keeping Flus? I know part of his MO is he hates terminating contracts early.
Adrian.
He's definitely in the room. How much say? I mean, ultimately, he has whatever say he wants to have. He is the chairman.
Adrian in the chat said, if you want to try to find your Phil Snow on offense, Phil Rain. Was what he said, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, I like that.
I do find it very interesting that George McCaskey is not on this press release that was sent out in terms of guys who are talking today.
I'm not a football guy. I'm just a fan.
I think there's at least a 3% chance that George doesn't know who the offensive coordinator is,
3%.
which is totally fine.
Matt, $9.99. Ownership's poor call.
Or
Bass
definitely
Pro
did no-
Shops stay distance. Regret lingers on. Some sad poet in Peoria, probably.
Do you think George could identify Tyke Tolbert?
Somebody in the
if he's
chat
walking
just
down the
made
street?
somebody just made a good point in the chat though about George McCaskey not speaking. He's the one who hired Matt Eberflus, and no longer has to stand there and answer why they're keeping him if he's not going to talk today.
Well, Poles does too, but yes, that is a good point.
Stephen M., $10. I think this offseason will be studied by GMs for a long time, good or bad. Historic last 2 years. I think we took a misstep sticking with Flus in one of the best head coaching markets in the last decade. That was the top of the show right there, Stephen. Appreciate you. Kenny B., $9.99. Thank you, Kenny. Can someone give Hoge a bunch of hats to throw every time he goes on a Matt Peck rant?
Yeah,
Gee.
we work with Matt.
Yeah, he's on the Bears and Bulls show.
No, he's not on the Bears show. No,
Feels like he needs them. You channeled your peck. You pecked. You had a peck moment.
I got to throw a hat on the Bulls show when we had our holiday party, and it felt fantastic. Don't give me White Sox hats.
That's a Wolves hat.
Just start chucking hats.
Well, I don't have anything against the Wolves.
Give your gripes, chuck a hat.
Why do we have so many Wolves hats? What should I throw this one for? How about Trent Taylor having the block.
Carm not answering his phone this morning. Throw the hat.
Yeah, that had me in a little bit of a panic for about 10 minutes. I'm not going to lie. Losing my mind a little bit on that one.
What about what are we going to do with the Sunkiss? That was one of Luke's big things. Luke was a nice guy, man. I liked Luke, for the record. Let me just get that out there. Dude was a good dude. Is a good dude. Wish him well and where he's going to go.
Well, I definitely, let's keep that in perspective, that these are human beings. They have families. And, you know, I know from talking to Luke Getsy that, and I think he said this publicly too, that, you know, one of the things that attracted him to coming to the Bears was the resources that were available to his family here compared to Green Bay. So that's, you know, these guys, but they're also kind of, they know it comes with the territory that they're constantly moving, and we'll have to see where Luke Getsy ends up. But Trubruski, 91, $10. We are all Bill Murray and Groundhog Day. Here's to another interesting offseason.
Yep. Thomas Hernandez. Tomas. What's up, Tomas? Thank you. $9.99. How do you all feel about the very recent Chase Daniel quarterback coach movement? A former player that throughout the season has analyzed Fields' work. Could be a fruitful addition for a new offensive coordinator. I don't know if he's interested in that, but he is a huge Justin Fields guy.
He's a huge Justin Fields guy. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But what I would like to say, I don't know, my vote would be for JT O'Sullivan, because JT at the QB school, he's come to the conclusion that the Bears do need to move on Justin. Right. But he is a huge Justin Fields fan too. And he is constantly breaking down the film being like, I wouldn't do this with this offense. I wouldn't do this. This is what I would do. And so if like, but, and this is a little pie in the sky, obviously, you know, but if you're, the point is, if you are keeping Fields, I want you to hire somebody like that clearly has a vision and an offense for how Justin Fields should actually be used.
Picked nose in the chat. I need Bragg's well-fed. Time to end. But to your point about Chase Daniel, all due respect, and he does great work. He certainly knows what he's talking about, you know, with the quarterback play and breaking down film. So I take note of it. But when you go through his YouTube channel, these are some of the headlines for other quarterbacks he breaks down. Aiden O'Connell looks fire for the Raiders. Kenny Pickett is back. Quarterback film breakdown. Zach Wilson, he's back, apparently. Tommy DeVito is built different. Derek Carr shuts up the haters.
Thank you.
Derek Carr is not the problem. Zach Wilson's offense is failing him. Josh Dobbs is not human. Aiden O'Connell is the answer. Josh Dobbs is trouble. So
that was a wild road to go down.
Yeah. So he loves everyone.
You know, like
he's doing a really good job of building his YouTube channel.
Well, and like I said, we ain't gonna hate. I ain't gonna hate. Like, do we put up headlines that want to draw interest to people watching our show? Yeah, that's the game. But if we're gonna pick through and go, well, look what this guy said. He's not doing it for clickbait. He knows what he's talking about, and you guys are just looking for click. Let's call it straight. That's all I'm going to say. I got a lot of respect for Chase. You know, he knows what he's doing in the league, but let's call it straight as far as the hustle that we're all playing here.
All right, let's. How many more supers do we have?
Oh, only 60.
Oh well, we're not getting all those. I
know.
We'll keep going here. Total Malarkey, and we won't get to all of them. Total Malarkey, $20. Impossible scenario from a Packers fan. Packers get Belichick for defensive coordinator, and the Vikings get Wilson at quarterback. So Russ is in Minnesota. Eberflus becomes the OC.
DC and head coach, but the Bears tamper, lose the number 7 pick. Then they misclick and get Tyleek Williams. Okay.
And one. Total Malarkey.
That is total malarkey.
on
His name's Todd Malarkey. Keith Franklin, $10 super chat. The expected starting left tackle, left guard, right tackle played 183 snaps out of 1,183 offensive plays in 2023 in less than 3 games.
It's a good underlining. It didn't help Luke Getsy, that's for sure.
That's the NFL, though. Very rarely Are you going to be the 2006 Bears and have your offensive line play every week?
Yeah.
You're going to have, you got to have depth there. There's going to be moving parts. It's a violent sport. You're never going to stay healthy.
1999 from the Duke. We need to stop thinking rookie QBs will save the Bears. Caleb playing fast against low-quality defenses. NFL's faster. You take him. Don't make him play hero. Let him develop behind Fields. Okay, Duke. You're not going to get your wish on that, but I appreciate it. Andrew Kessel, $20. Part 1, I don't hate Flus. He just hasn't showed that he can find a great offensive coordinator. And even if he does catch lightning in a bottle, what's the probability he can do it a second time with that OC moves onto another head coach? $20 from Andrew Kessel. Again, part 2, you need either an offensive genius a la Andy Reid or a proven winner like Harbaugh to give legs to the potential we have now. My fear is that we squander all that Poles has done and stay mired in mediocrity.
Well, yes, of course. We don't want that.
Love your dog, Andrew.
Somebody's
Thank you
like,
so much,
Braggs
Andrew.
just wants us to be where we are right now in 4 years. No, I'd like the team to be good. I don't have all the answers to that, but I certainly don't want to be in this same spot 4 years from now. But
I want to be at lunch in 10 minutes. Jay
I
Evans,
do
$10. Why is there a disconnect? You trade that number 1 overall pick for multiple ones. In doing so, you're protecting yourself, and you don't have to pay Justin for 2 to 3 years. Come on, people.
J.R. Mayberry, $10 super chat. If Poles trades the first pick this year, wow, what last year's first pick could turn into. 5 first-round picks and more, and a second-round pick to go yet, and maybe more. And Braggs, go Big Red. Yes, Nebraska Cornhuskers took down the number 1 team in the country. I think that's now the 7th team in the Big Ten that has stormed the court on my Boilermakers. They played a great game. Shout out to them.
So Nebraska, Northwestern, Fairleigh Dickinson, all since March.
Yep.
And that's the number 1 team in the country?
That-
Cardiac Cat, $4.99. Why does Flus deserve to be back besides beating coaches that were fired for losing to him and beating third-string quarterbacks?
We'll ask that to Poles
Fair
today.
point. Brock Stevens, $4.99. I think the writing is on the wall for Fields. Can't have him learn a brand new offense and a contract here. Give me Caleb and Cliff. It's SPR, $5 Canadian. Bears will hire Frank Reich as OC and Josh McCown as QB coach. Book it.
So give me McCown.
Two
or
guys that wanted C.J. Stroud last year and then got fired because their owner said, we're taking Bryce Young. Dominic Hardy, $5 super chat. Please hire Greg Roman to replace Getsy. He has experience with a similar quarterback in Lamar Jackson and turned him into an NFL MVP in his first year.
Thank you, Dominic. That would be the keep Fields hire. Next one is Josh Shoppert. What's up, Josh?
John.
What's up, John? My bad. I would have fired Eberflus, but have we considered the fact that an elite quarterback over the long term is better than any good offensive coordinator? Fields is not it. That's what Luke Getsy would tell people in private.
Flame Chuck, $76, $5 super chat. I knew Harbaugh was never going to happen. He's going to want complete control. This organization would never do that. Poles would never give it up. Loop-de-loop. How many more we got here, La Dog?
Oh, we're counting down here. We're in the $5 range here. 40.
keep going.
I don't know, just keep going. Just keep reading a few. Just,
Gaming for veterans. If they $5 super chat. If they have fired the defensive side of the ball,
Offensive.
If they had fired the offensive side of the ball and don't have a DC, why not just scrap the whole coaching staff? Confused as always.
You do have to still hire a DC.
Yep.
Go ahead. Jay Toasty, $5. Go ahead to myself, I guess. Keeping a head coach after firing offensive staff plus DC, kind of wild. Give me Kubiak, Frank Smith, Zach Robinson for OC. Please, God, not Reich, Bieniemy, or Cliff.
Zach Robinson, good name. Like it. Ethan Rucker, $4.99. Did they at least give Harbaugh a call or anyone at all? I would hope that they at least called Jim Harbaugh, Ethan, but who the hell knows? My guess is that
they're not going to answer that today either since they kept the coach.
Football, CF Candy. We love CF Candy. Out of $4.99. Out of this, Nick, you have a duty to ask about this is getting Cliff doing a similar model to the Texans. Everyone stop going to games now.
Wow.
CF Candy coming in hot today. Bob Kerwin, $4.99. Kerwin has the Bears are rolling with Fields, ? No way They do the same shit they've done for what will be the third quarterback in a row. What rookie quarterback would want to be in here? They're not going to look at it like that, Bob. They believe in themselves. Caleb's going to have confidence. I don't think he's afraid of Chicago. Jimmy Tony, $5. Come on, guys. Stop pretending there's more than a 0.1% chance Fields is back. This is a better team next year with Caleb Flusely back to year 4. That's my contention, Jimmy Tony. Eli Sherman, $4.99. Kevin Warren, don't be afraid to dream big and have that championship mentality. So much for that. Car looks really clean, though.
Nice clean car. All right. I'm going to call it here. We need to regroup. We're going to have a big press conference coming up at 3. We're going to get nourished and ready to go. Presser at 3.
Carm's buying lunch.
We will as soon as that press conference is over, I'm also going to get clarity on if Kevin Warren's going to actually, I don't know if he's talking in a press conference or on the side. Regardless, Nicholas Moriano will be there. We will bring him in for all the reaction for anything we can't see with our own eyes, obviously, from here. And it'll be interesting. See what they have to say. I really, really hope this is not a repeat of January 2021. It would not be good.
Do better. They'll be all right.
But Kevin Warren is there and Ted Phillips is not. And apparently George McCaskey's not even speaking unless he does something off to the side later, which is possible. But we'll have to see how it all plays out, what type of explanations they give. The one thing I will say is that Ryan Poles, more times than not, when he talks to the media, does a pretty decent job of, communicating and inspiring some hope. So we'll see what it all looks like. Is this the leadership group that Bears fans are going to feel good about? And press conferences sometimes matter. They sometimes don't. That one in 2021 sure ended up mattering. So this seems like a big day for the Bears, the decisions that they've made, and we are not done. Almost 2.5 hours here with you reacting to the news, and we're going to come back when these press conferences happen later. Look for that link on social media. Follow us at CHGO_Bears. You can also follow us individually at Adam Hoge, at the Carm, at G-Braggs Jr. 23. And once that link is out, you can click on it early, hit the notification button. You'll get notified when we go live, and that'll be when those press conferences are over. Thank you for everyone for the super chat. Sorry if we didn't get to yours. Again, we appreciate all the support as always. And also check out all of Nick's coverage at allchgo.com. For now, we're going to sign off. We'll talk to you in a few hours.
We all silly like the mayor.